Chapter 1898. The person who spoke was Xiang Yuandong from the Palace of Darkness. He was a peak tribulation lightning expert and one of the leaders of the Palace of Darkness. He had the ability to command hundreds of people. In reality, the group of disciples from the Palace of Darkness had arrived here long ago. However, in order to observe Xiaoping's weakness, they had hidden themselves and let others take the lead. But now, they had no choice but to show themselves. If they still did not show themselves, the group of tribulation lightning experts would probably all be killed in one fell swoop by Wu Wudi. Even though their threat to Wu Wudi had increased by several levels, they were still shocked when they saw that the kid really had the ability to kill countless Thunder Tribulation Almighties. Originally, the group of disciples from the Palace of Darkness had thought that other than the Central Universe, the other places were barbarians. There were not many who could fight, so they had underestimated them. But now that they saw Wu Wudi, they no longer underestimated him. If they had not been hiding in the dark, they would have fallen for his trap long ago and been unable to extricate themselves. Kill. In an instant, Xiang Yuandong attacked. He took out a 3-foot-long sword condensed from white bone. A terrifying aura immediately erupted, shaking the heavens and earth and countless stars. This aura tore through the void and seemed to cause the surrounding formation lines to crack and shatter. A saint artifact. Everyone was immediately shocked. There was no doubt that this was a saint artifact. Moreover, it was not a low-grade saint artifact, but a powerful mid-grade saint artifact. Wu Wudi, it's a worthy death for you to die under this mid-grade saint artifact, the Dawn White Bone Sword. Xiang Yuandong shouted. He circulated all the magic in his body and poured it into the mid-grade saint artifact, then swung the sword down. Suddenly, a white sword light bombarded down. It was hundreds of millions of kilometers long, as if it wanted to split the void of the universe in half. This could be called the attack of a saint, and its power was earth-shattering. Everyone was shocked. They felt that this was the true power of heaven and earth. In the face of such power, they were no different from ants. They would be crushed into powder in an instant. That kid is dead for sure. For the sake of killing him, the Palace of Darkness has actually used a medium-quality saint artifact. They're far too rich. They really do live up to their reputation as one of the 2 sacred grounds of the human race. I've heard of the origin White Bone Sword before. It seems to have been refined from the bones of some demon, saint-level abyssal fiendish demons. It contains a terrifying fiendish power. With a single slash, the white bones will turn everything within hundreds of millions of kilometers into a dead zone. It can be said to be an extremely terrifying sacred weapon of the demonic path. I never thought that it would fall into the hands of Xiang Yuandong. In any case, Wu Wudi is done for. No matter how many trump cards he has, there's no way he can fight against Xiang Yuandong, who possesses a sage artifact. Everyone discussed the matter, especially the Thunder Tribulation realm mighty figures who were on the brink of death. They were overjoyed. As long as they killed Wu Wudi and destroyed the array, the tribulations in their bodies would not be triggered. This was equivalent to saving their lives. The sword slashed down, and the Heavenly Domain Stellar Array, Peach Blossom Miasma Array, and 5 Elemental Lightning Tribulation Array were instantly shattered. All the magic array's foundations were reduced to powder. At the same time, everyone was freed from the restraints of the formation. However, this unforeseen event was also part of Xiaoping's plan. His expression did not change. Palace of Darkness, you finally appeared. I've been waiting for a long time. I thought you wouldn't dare to show your faces. However, do you think that a mere mid-grade sacred weapon can kill me? You're too arrogant. The reason why I didn't kill you was because I was waiting for you to appear. Come out, Star Shifting Array. Xiaoping took a step forward and formed a seal with both hands, activating the last array that had been set up in the surrounding void. What? F*CK. Even at this time, this guy still has a trump card? Everyone's eyes widened. They looked as if they had been F*Ked. A large array rose up. Stars densely covered it, forming the Star Shifting Array. This array could divert the enemy's divine power. It could be considered a defensive array. Immediately, The sword light from the origin white bone sword was wrapped up by the star-shifting array. It was instantly transferred to another place and bombarded the black-yellow continent in the depths of the void. Boom! Everyone heard a series of cracking sounds, as if the heavens were breaking apart. The many array formations that had been marked in the void were immediately smashed apart by the sword light. The continent that had been hidden in the depths of the void suddenly lost its protective strength. It fell down from the void and appeared in front of everyone. At the same time, all of the restrictive spell formations that had been set up on the continent shattered, turning into powder. They were completely destroyed, and boundless sword chi spread out in the surroundings. It had to be said that the origin white bone sword was incomparably powerful. The sword light shot into the heavens. This strike simply surpassed the limits of the peak thunder tribulation realm. It left everyone shocked. What's going on? Why is there another continent in this part of the starry skies? How come we didn't see it just now? Many supreme elders immediately saw the continent that had suddenly appeared, leaving them shaken. I know, it must be a mysterious continent left behind by the good fortune saint. There must be some rare treasures on it. There might even be a revival good fortune pill. Someone shouted. Everyone's eyes immediately brightened with joy. The continent that had been hidden by the good fortune saint was undoubtedly extremely valuable. After all, there were so many continents in the heavens fortune chart. The other continents had not been hidden, but this continent had. There was definitely a great secret hidden within. Even if they used their knees to think, they would still think of this. If a revival good fortune pill appeared, even if they had to risk their lives, they would still snatch it. Wait, damn it, there's something wrong with this continent. It contains an incomparably evil will and rich abyssal demonic energy. A massive number of tyrannical abyssal demons have been sealed here. An angel elder shouted. As pure and holy angels, they were extremely sensitive to the aura of demons. They immediately sensed an inexplicable danger emanating from the depths of this continent. That's right, this continent has imprisoned a massive number of peak thunder tribulation realm great demons. Damn it, what did Wu Woody do? Why did he release these abyssal demons? What did he do? A Buddhist elder gnashed his teeth in anger. He immediately realized that this had to be Wu Woody's plan. He had most likely used their hands to tear apart the array formation of this continent and release the sealed abyssal demons. Retreat, retreat. The abyssal demons on that continent are about to come out. Hurry and retreat. These abyssal demons are no trifling matter. They are not trash demons that can compare to them. They are true great demons that have the potential to become demon sages. Xiang Yuandong's expression changed as he repeatedly warned them. Wu Woody, you son of a bitch, what have you done this time? Just how much do you want us to die before you stop? The group of people was scared half to death. Their faces were deathly white. They hated Wu Woody to death. Chapter 1899. Before they could grab Xia Ping, balls of terrifying abyssal demonic energy surged out of the continent. Instantly, countless powerful abyssal demons broke free. Haha, we're out. We're finally out. Damn, that old ghost creation. He trapped us here for so many years. We almost died. When we get out this time, we must kill all his disciples and grand disciples. Kiki, there are so many living beings here. What a dense aura. They're all top-grade food. Kill them and we'll be free. Let's start a massacre to celebrate. Many abyssal demons laughed wildly. They ran out of the continent in a frenzy, afraid that they would be sealed again if they were too late. When they saw the people from the Palace of Darkness, they were all extremely excited. They were like people who were dying of thirst who suddenly saw a pot of clear spring water. How could they hold themselves back? After being sealed for so long, no one could imagine how much they thirsted for flesh and souls. Die, all of you die. Die in the lava. A lava demon flew out. Its body seemed to be made of lava and emitted the smell of sulfur. It was like a devil that had walked out of hell. Its body was 80,000 feet tall. It waved its hand and instantly turned the surrounding thousands of kilometers into a river of lava. Thousands of volcanoes erupted everywhere, and smoke rose. The flames that erupted weren't ordinary flames. They were demonic flames from the abyss. They contained corrosive, toxic, burning, and infectious properties. If ordinary cultivators touched them, they would immediately turn to ashes. Many cultivators couldn't resist and screamed in pain. Their bodies were covered in flames and burned, turning into huge torches that shot into the sky. Souls. Delicious souls. The heavenly demons laughed cruelly. They were formless and invisible. They passed through the void and emitted a monstrous demonic aura. They instantly invaded the bodies of the living beings and devoured their souls. In an instant, these cultivators' eyes became lifeless. Their bodies became empty shells. Even their souls were sucked out. My stomach hurts. My stomach hurts. Why do I keep having diarrhea? Tell me, why is this happening? An extreme poison devil released a roar. Its entire body was condensed from black liquid, and it had 300 eyes. It released a foul stench, and large amounts of poison surged within its body. Its favorite thing was to eat all kinds of poisonous substances, but its body could not digest them in time, so it often had stomachaches and diarrhea in the wild. However, the things it excreted contained highly toxic substances that polluted the earth, turning the surrounding thousands of kilometers into a toxic swamp. It was equivalent to moving pollutants. Often, the planets it appeared on would turn into a living hell. Even after hundreds of millions of years, no one would be able to live there. It roared and went berserk. The venom on its body turned into sharp arrows and shot out, bombarding the surrounding cultivators. The venom instantly corroded their bodies. Countless people let out blood-curdling screams. This kind of venom was 10 times more terrifying than the venom refined by the 10,000 Poison Clan. Some people were instantly covered by the venom and their entire body melted, leaving nothing behind. Even with magical treasures, they could not withstand the corrosion of the venom. In an instant, the magical treasures were completely corroded, and the runic arrays inside were all destroyed. Damned abyss demons, kill it. We must kill them all. Everyone roared and immediately attacked, using their mystiques. They had fought countless times with the abyss demons and knew how terrifying they were. They could not be negotiated, nor could they coexist. They were naturally hostile races. Either this group of abyss demons died, or they died. Right now, they could not care about chasing after Xiaoping. All of them attacked the group of abyss demons, using all their skills and almost risking their lives. Xiang Yuandong from the Palace of Darkness wanted to find Xiaoping and kill this scourge with one sword strike. However, Xiaoping had long fled, hiding in the depths of the void. Therefore, he vented his anger on the group of abyss demons. Waving the source-time white bone sword in his hand, he killed one powerful abyss demon after another. He was invincible. At this time, Xiaoping stealthily neared the land formed from the black-yellow soil. As soon as he arrived, he immediately discovered that this land was very unusual. It was a single entity, and every inch of the soil was engraved with restrictive arrays. It seemed to have been smelted into a magical treasure. Even if many Lightning Tribulation Realm experts fought on it, they would not be able to damage it at all. Even after the restrictive arrays on this land were destroyed, they seemed to be slowly recovering. They had the ability to recover on their own. It was no wonder that the group of abyss demons had fled so quickly. They probably thought that if they did not escape, they would be sealed by the restored restrictive arrays again. This is the ginseng fruit tree. Xiaoping entered the black-yellow land and reached the deepest part of the land. There was an orchard that occupied tens of thousands of kilometers. There were 9 huge fruit trees in the depths of the orchard. Each tree was extremely tall and had well-developed roots. They occupied thousands of kilometers and reached hundreds of kilometers underground. At the same time, the 9 fruit trees seemed to have supreme spirituality, as though they had given birth to a weak intelligence. They completely fused with the black-yellow land and the restrictive arrays here, giving birth to a huge tree world domain. Anyone who stepped into this domain would be expelled or even destroyed. There were many ginseng fruits growing on the fruit trees. They were filled with the rich aura of spirit fruits. At the same time, they emitted circles of golden light, as though they contained the power of laws. It was extremely strange. I see. Xiaoping also understood why the group of abyss demons didn't destroy the ginseng fruit trees on this land. It turned out that the 9 ginseng fruit trees were the 9 cores of the restrictive arrays on this land. Under the tree world domain, the group of abyss demons couldn't do anything. If they dared to continue attacking, they would probably be suppressed again with a flip of their hands. Hence, this place had become a taboo area for the abyss demons. They didn't dare to approach. It seems like it won't be that easy to snatch this black-yellow land away. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. According to his previous plan, as long as he approached this land, he would immediately put the mountain river pearl into the space to suppress it with a wave of his hand. But now, it seemed that if he forcibly suppressed it, the 9 ginseng fruit trees would definitely resist. They would trigger the restrictive arrays inside, and endless energy would erupt. When that happened, he would be severely injured on the spot. The 9 ginseng fruit trees that had lived for countless years contained extraordinary energy. If they had intelligence, they would have long advanced to the sage realm. Chapter 1900. Just as Xiaoping was trying his best to think of a way to take this piece of Xianhuang land away, the world tree rooted in the void in the depths of his sea of consciousness suddenly shook. Suddenly, a strong aura of life and the aura of the world emanated from his body, instantly enveloping the entire piece of Xianhuang land, pervasive. This was the supreme aura of the tree, the apex of all plants. The 9 ginseng fruit trees that had been sleeping in the depths of the orchard were suddenly awakened. Their huge bodies bent slightly, their branches swayed, and their leaves rustled, as if they were cheering. Such a posture was like meeting the ancestor of the tree, like a commoner meeting the emperor. The restrictive formations around the orchard were instantly opened, and a spacious, safe passage appeared, as if welcoming Xiaoping into it. Whoosh! Xiaoping's figure flashed, and he immediately entered the depths of the orchard. He found that all the plants in the orchard had developed a sense of intimacy with him, as if they were welcoming him, the ancestor of the plants. Dong! He subconsciously reached out and gently tapped on one of the ginseng fruit trees. The world tree in the depths of his body trembled, and an emerald aura instantly gushed out, instilling in the depths of this ginseng fruit tree. At the same time, the other 8 ginseng fruit trees also trembled, as if they were extremely excited. They kept waving their branches, and the burnt yellow leaves fell and scattered on the ground, making a rustling sound. The 9 ginseng fruit trees were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The originally yellow bark, which seemed to have lost all its water, was falling rapidly and was replaced by new bark. The branches on the trees trembled, and the yellow leaves fell, while the emerald leaves grew wildly. The branches were full of leaves, and the whole body exuded an aura of vitality. The roots in the depths of the earth were also constantly extending, wriggling like pythons, absorbing the nutrients in the depths of the earth. It was like a withered tree in the spring, and infinite vitality was born again. Resurrected, Xiaoping blinked his eyes. He finally knew what had just happened. These 9 ginseng fruit trees were really too old. No one knew how many years they had lived, but they were really old antiques. Even the lifespan of an ordinary planet was no more than this. Even as plants, their lifespan was much longer than ordinary creatures. But if they had not become sages, there would always be a day when their lifespan would come to an end. Today, they had reached the end of their lifespan. However, now that he had encountered the world tree and obtained a trace of the world tree's origin energy, he immediately regained his youth and regained his life. This was a special ability of the world tree. It could revive and transform plants. It had the power to turn something rotten into something magical. That was why the 9 ginseng fruit trees were so excited. After accepting the world tree's origin energy, Xiaoping sensed that he had formed a mental connection with the 9 ginseng fruit trees. It seemed like the world tree had formed a soul contract with them, making them subordinates of the world tree. It was as if he could control the 9 ginseng fruit trees with just a thought. At the same time, he easily controlled the restriction and formation of the entire Xianhuang land. It was as if he was controlling a magic treasure. There was no longer any power that resisted him. Very good, I finally got it. Xiaoping was overjoyed. Without hesitation, he waved his hand and immediately placed this piece of Xianhuang land into the space inside the mountain river pearl, making it a small piece of land. However, the sudden disappearance of a piece of land immediately attracted the attention of those who were fighting with the abyss demons. After all, such a large piece of land had disappeared. It was a place where the abyss demons were sealed. It was impossible for them not to notice. What's going on? Why did that piece of Xianhuang land disappear? Someone was extremely shocked and didn't know what had happened. ****. That tortoise Wu Wudi took it away. The entire piece of land was taken away by him. Nothing was left. One of the 10,000 poison clan's elders gritted his teeth. He had been keeping a close eye on Wu Wudi and was aware of his every move. He had been looking for an opportunity to eliminate this shameless scourge, so he was aware of Wu Wudi's actions. What? The entire piece of land was taken away by him? What kind of joke is this? That piece of land itself is an unparalleled treasure. It is formed from Xianhuang soil. If we get it, we can immediately build an unparalleled herb garden and plant countless spiritual herbs. How'd he take it away? An Yuanming sect elder was extremely anxious. In fact, when that piece of land appeared, he immediately recognized that it was the famous Xianhuang soil. It was a famous, unique soil in the world. To an alchemist, it was an unparalleled treasure. No other treasure could replace it. The value of Xianhuang soil was indescribable. Originally, he had wanted to dig up a few pieces of that piece of land after exterminating this group of abyssal demons. Who would have thought that before he could do anything, the entire piece of land would be snatched away by Wu Wudi? Not even a single hair was left. It can't be. The entire piece of land is Xianhuang soil. Doesn't that mean we have missed out on an unparalleled treasure? Just how much is it worth? Someone pounded his chest in regret. If he had known this would happen, he would have stopped Wu Wudi. Such a large piece of Xianhuang soil had been taken away without any benefits. How much is it worth? There's no way to measure it. Even sages can't find much Xianhuang soil. This is a rare treasure. Even if you exchange it for an inferior grade sage artifact, I'm afraid not many people would be willing. The Yuanming sect elder gritted his teeth, feeling extremely jealous. Hearing this, the group of people felt so regretful that their intestines turned green. They were not knowledgeable enough and could not immediately tell that the yellow soil was the famous Xianhuang soil. But those who were knowledgeable had their own selfish motives. They did not want this news to leak out, lest others fight with them for the treasure. But who would have thought that Wu Wudi would be so greedy that he would take away such a large piece of land without letting them obtain a single cent? No, that piece of land is not as simple as Xianhuang soil. It is also a precious medicine garden left behind by the good fortune saint. A heaven reflection sect elder clenched his fists. Just now, I activated my heaven reflection divine eye and saw through the array formation. I saw 9 famous ginseng fruit trees growing in that medicine garden. What did you say? Ginseng fruit trees? The legendary ginseng fruit that takes 10,000 years to bloom, 10,000 years to bear fruit, and 10,000 years to ripen. The ginseng fruit that can increase one's dermic powers, increase one's lifespan, and strengthen one's divine powers? Everyone screamed. That's right, it's the legendary ginseng fruit. The Heaven Reflection sect elder said bitterly. When he saw this, he was instantly tempted. He immediately wanted to kill his way to that piece of land and snatch all the ginseng fruits. Chapter 1901. Understand now. It's all part of that ***TCH Wu Wudi's plot. An elder of the Great Sky sect screamed, as if he had understood something. In fact, that ***star discovered the existence of the bound of universe long ago. However, because of the tyrannical restrictive array formation and the powerful abyssal demons, he couldn't do anything about it. Thus, that scoundrel intentionally went online to provoke us, causing us to lose our minds and seek revenge on him. Then he borrowed our strength to break the restrictive spell formation of that continent and used us as a shield. At the same time, he also used us to fend off the demons sealed here. Then, that brat would have the opportunity to take this continent and obtain the ginseng fruit. We've been tricked. We've all been tricked by this kid. We've done so many things purely to help this kid gain benefits. But we've not only gotten nothing, but we've also suffered heavy casualties. He roared, his expression extremely ugly as he deduced the cause and effect of this matter. What an arrogant demon. Who does he think we are? He actually used us as pawns and played with us. He's gone too far. He's gone too far. A Buddhist elder gnashed his teeth. He hadn't expected his group to be played so miserably. They had been completely fooled. Damn it. Xiang Yuandong, the disciple of the Palace of Darkness, had a face as black as charcoal. Previously, he had taken out the medium-grade sage artifact, the Dawn Whitebone Sword, and attacked with all his might. In the end, that kid had used the star-shifting array to teleport him away. That was why the restrictive array formation of the Bound of Universe had been split open by his sword. In other words, he had done Wu Wudi a huge favor. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for the restrictive array formation left behind by the Saint of Good Fortune to be destroyed so easily. Thinking of that kid's immense gratitude toward him, he couldn't help but feel angry. Capture him. Capture Wu Wudi immediately. We can't let him take all the benefits. He tricked so many of us to death and used us as a shield. Now he wants to take all the benefits and leave? How can there be such a good thing? An elder of the angel tribe couldn't help but roar. Many of the angels were also angry. As one of the overlord races of the Western cosmos, they had never suffered such a big loss. Now, they've been played by a human. It was a great humiliation. Ow! That bastard is a loach. He runs so fast that it's impossible to catch him. Someone said helplessly. Now, they couldn't even see Wu Wudi's back, let alone catch him. In the blink of an eye, that kid had disappeared without a trace. A bunch of fools. You dare to chat in the face of us, abyssal demons? Die, all of you. Many of the abyssal demons were enraged. In the face of these terrifying existences, these food actually dared to be careless and chat here. They were looking down on them too much. Get lost. We don't have time to care about you. We have important things to do. Let's kill these troublesome abyssal demons and then find trouble with Wu Wudi. We can't let him escape with the treasures. Kill. Kill all of these abyssal demons. It's all because of them. If not for them, we would have killed Wu Wudi long ago. The people from the Palace of Darkness were all enraged. They blamed Wu Wudi's mistake of running away on these abyssal demons. With new and old grudges added together, they immediately erupted with 300% of their battle strength. And although these abyssal demons were powerful, they had been imprisoned for countless years. After so many years, their strength had been greatly damaged. They were no longer at their peak. Against this group of top experts from all over the cosmos, they were forced to retreat again and again. Of course, they were terrifying monsters from the abyss, after all. They were not so easily killed. Against such a counterattack, they fought to the death. This battle went on for 3 days and 3 nights. Most of the abyssal demons were killed, leaving behind huge corpses. Only a few saw that the situation was not good and took the chance to escape, temporarily surviving. As for the Palace of Darkness, angels, Buddhists, and other factions, as well as many unaffiliated cultivators, they also suffered heavy losses. Although they had killed this group of abyssal demons, their casualties were not small. Most importantly, killing this group of abyssal demons did not benefit them at all. It was all a loss. The worst off was the leader of the Thunder Fiend race, Lei Bao. Because he was proficient in thunder techniques, he was extremely harmful to the abyssal demons. He immediately became a thorn in the eyes of the abyssal demons and suffered a devastating blow. Therefore, this group of thunder fiends was basically slaughtered. Even Lei Bao's body was torn apart by the abyssal demons. His primordial spirit was destroyed and nothing was left. It's over. We've finally killed most of these abyssal demons. We've won. F***, we've won my ass. I don't feel like I've won at all. It's all the frustration of being tricked. Wu Woody, it's all Wu Woody's fault. If not for that bastard, we wouldn't have fought to the death with this group of abyssal demons. In the end, all the benefits were snatched away by that brat, and we got nothing. Find that brat. Even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground, we have to find that bastard. We won't rest until he's dead. I'm not done with Wu Woody in this life. Not at all. I've never suffered such a huge loss. I'll remember that bastard. Wait, don't let me see him. Otherwise, I'll immediately hug that bastard and die with him. Everyone gritted their teeth, filled with hatred for Wu Woody. If Wu Woody was here, he would definitely be burned to ashes by everyone's anger. After venting their anger, they went their separate ways. Because they had fought such an intense battle, although they did not die, they had suffered significant injuries. If they encountered other enemies now, they would be completely finished. They might even be ambushed. None of them dared to stay in this place. They quickly fled to other places to hide. After this group of people left, a figure walked out from the depths of the void. This person was Xiaoping. He used the black hole worm's spatial concealment ability to dig a temporary dimensional space in the void. He hid there and watched this group of people fight. When they all left, he would come out again to reap all the benefits. Such dense soul energy. It's all mine. Xiaoping was drooling. He waved his hand and used his devouring power to frantically collect the soul energy left in this void. At least 10,000 abyssal demons had died here, and there were also over 20,000 lightning tribulation eminences. The soul energy left behind was extremely shocking. Whoosh, after a few breaths, a large number of soul crystals quickly condensed and landed in his hand. And the flesh of these abyssal demons. I'll take them all away. Xiaoping moved the flesh of these abyssal demons into the Mountain River Pearl's dimensional space. To ordinary cultivators, the flesh of these abyssal demons was simply toxic. It was a pollutant. Because of the dense abyssal demonic aura left on them, ordinary living beings would be injured if they got close. But Xiaoping was different. He had the power to purify the abyssal demonic aura. As long as he purified the demonic aura of these abyssal demons, he would be able to leave behind the purest flesh energy. Whether it was refined into pills or placed on land, it would be an excellent choice to add fertilizer to the soil. Chapter 1902. At this time, the news of Wu Woody's decisive battle with the Palace of Darkness, the Angel Clan, the Thunder Goblin Clan, and the Buddhist Clan quickly spread throughout the creation map of heavens. Countless people knew about it. Everyone was concerned about what had happened. But when the news spread, everyone was in an uproar. They were dumbfounded. They had never expected such an outcome. How is that possible? That Wu Woody is so abnormal. So many people ganged up on him, and even the disciples of the Palace of Darkness brought a mid-grade sage artifact with them. How could they not kill him? Many people were dumbfounded. Before this, they had thought that the arrogant kid was dead for sure. He had dared to fight a group of heroes alone. That was courting death. He would be killed at any moment. But now, not only was the kid not dead, but he had even left alive and well. The people who had gone against Wu Woody had suffered 8 lifetimes of bad luck and suffered heavy losses. Don't say any more. This is a conspiracy. Everyone was tricked by that *TCH Wu Woody. This is a trap. Who knows how many people have died? If I still believe a word from him, I'll eat *T immediately. Someone cursed. His anger towards Wu Woody had reached its peak. A group of people curiously asked what had happened. They immediately learned the whole story from the survivors. He's despicable indeed. I knew this guy was not a good person, but I didn't expect this to be a complete conspiracy. I knew this kid wouldn't reveal his location for no reason. There was indeed a trap, but I didn't expect that kid's attainments and formations were so high. So many Thunder Tribulation Realm experts were there, but they couldn't find him. He's simply heaven-defying. The Buddhist Clan, the Angel Clan, the Heavenly Reflection Sect, the 10,000 Poison Clan, the Palace of Darkness, and many other forces were all defeated by him. They suffered heavy losses. Who knows how many people died? The worst was the leader of the Thunder Goblin clan, Lei Bao. He didn't even fight Wu Wuti before he was killed by a group of abyssal demons. Even all the elite Thunder Goblins died. They were torn apart by the abyssal demons. He killed so many Thunder Goblins. It seems that the Thunder Goblins will treat Wu Wuti as their mortal enemy. They won't rest until he's dead. So what if he's dead? Why would he care? In any case, I've already offended so many enemies. More debts won't burden me. Everyone discussed the matter. They were completely stunned by it. They did not expect Wu Wuti to be so sinister. From the beginning to the end, it was all a scam to serve his own purpose. The most hateful thing was that even though they knew this, they still foolishly stepped into the trap. Moreover, even if Wu Wuti had told them that it was a trap, many of them would still have gone over. After all, their hatred was too deep. They would not have missed this opportunity. This was an overt plot that had grasped their Achilles heel. After all, who would have thought that Wu Wuti would be so powerful? He was actually able to toy around with this group of almighties with his array. They had truly underestimated Wu Wuti's ability. Not only was this kid's martial arts prowess powerful, but even his formation mastery was unfathomable and beyond imagination. However, this kid has really gained a lot of benefits this time. Not only did he obtain a large amount of black-yellow soil, he also obtained 9 ginseng fruit trees. Who knows how many ginseng fruits have been condensed on them? If he were to sell them, the price would be absolutely terrifying. Some people were envious and jealous. If we can kill Wu Wuti, the wealth we will obtain will be unimaginable. Some people's eyes were filled with greed and murderous intent. They saw Wu Wuti as a fat sheep. Wu Wuti is not that easy to kill. He would have died long ago, and he would not have tricked so many almighties. Someone next to him sneered, thinking that the other party was daydreaming. It would not be that easy to kill Wu Wuti. That kid is indeed powerful. His magical powers are extraordinary, but he does not need to fight head-on to kill someone. Sometimes he uses poison, and sometimes he uses curses. Some people sneered again and again, unmoved. As the saying went, humans die in pursuit of wealth, and birds die in pursuit of food. The benefits that Wu Wuti had were so great that they were salivating. In fact, after hearing this news, even more people wanted to kill Wu Wuti. Everyone knew that Wu Wuti had countless treasures on him. Once he was killed, they would immediately become rich overnight. However, having this idea and taking action were two different things. Just trying to find Wu Wuti's whereabouts was difficult for countless people. On another continent, many disciples from the Holy Land of Taichu had gathered. They had also heard the news. Who is this Wu Wuti? He actually made those madmen from the Palace of Darkness suffer so much. Because of this, the demons from the abyss have been mobilized. Some of the disciples from the Palace of Darkness have died. They've suffered heavy losses, but they haven't gained anything. A disciple from the Holy Land of Taichu said, "Damn, I thought that except for the Central Universe, all other places were barren lands with few people who could fight. I didn't expect that there would be so many monsters here." A man in white was speechless. Yes, Feng Xingyu, Zhang Haodong, and Meng Zhenshun were also beaten up by a disciple from the Qinquan sect. Their injuries are still swollen like pigs. This barren land is unfathomable, and there are masters among the people. Another man in blue felt the same way. "Shut up. Don't flatter others. We are disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu. We are not inferior to others." The eldest brother of the Holy Land of Taichu shouted, "Yes, yes, yes." The group of people nodded repeatedly. However, these things had indeed dampened their arrogance. They were no longer as arrogant and insufferably arrogant as before. "Okay, cut the crap. There is a palace in front. It is said to be an alchemy palace left by the Saint of Fortune. Maybe there is a creation pill in it. If we can get it, we will have hope to become sages." The eldest brother said, "Yes, eldest brother." Everyone nodded. They were all excited at the thought of the creation pill. Even for the disciples of the Holy Land of Taichu, it was an incredible treasure. It was priceless. In the dark, starry sky, many elders of the Qinquan sect and sect master Zhu Xian gathered together. They kept contacting each other and finally gathered in one place. The universe is so complicated. I didn't expect such a cruel, wanted criminal, Wu Wudi. Fortunately, we didn't go and join in the fun. Otherwise, I don't know how many people will die. An elder rejoiced. Don't worry about that, Wu Wudi. It's better not to provoke such a fierce person. If we can't kill him, we will be in trouble. By the way, where is Junior Brother Xia? Is he in any danger now? Sect Master Zhu Xian waved his hand. No, I contacted him once before. Junior Brother Xia seems to have found a relic and is cultivating in seclusion to digest what he has learned. An elder said, it seems that Junior Brother Xia also has his own adventure. Since he is not coming to gather, forget it. Everyone has their own fate. Let's move. I just found a piece of land that seems to have a hidden treasure. Maybe it is an opportunity. Sect Master Zhu Xian said in a deep voice. Yes, Sect Master. Chapter 1903. At this moment, in a remote land in the fortune map of heavens, there was no one around. It was a barren land. Xia Ping hid in this place and entered the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers, ignoring what was happening outside. This is the ginseng fruit. Xia Ping plucked a ginseng fruit from the ginseng fruit tree. It was the size of a fist and looked like a nascent soul. It emitted rich spiritual qi. It seemed that there was a huge amount of mysterious energy in the depths of the fruit. It made all the cells in his body restless, wanting to devour it immediately. And there were a total of 108 such ginseng fruits. In fact, after countless years, the 9 ginseng fruit trees had not only borne this many fruits, but because no one had picked them and no one had preserved them, most of them had rotted away. But even so, 108 ginseng fruits was shocking enough. If this news spread, who knew how many people would be envious and jealous? This was a true treasure of the universe. The green ox was also very excited. It told Xia Ping that if these ginseng fruits were refined into ginseng elixirs, the medicinal power would increase by at least 50%. He should give all of these ginseng fruits to it to refine pills. That way, they could get the most out of it. I wonder what it tastes like. Xia Ping was very curious. He ignored the green ox's request and just wanted to taste it. After all, the ginseng fruit was too famous. It was the kind that everyone knew. He was also curious about what it tasted like. He subconsciously threw a ginseng fruit into his mouth. It melted in his mouth and immediately melted into a large amount of liquid that flowed down his throat and into the depths of his stomach. A fragrance spread throughout his body. It was so delicious that he almost swallowed his tongue. This was a supreme delicacy that seemed to contain the essence of all life. There was no need to cook it at all. Just the taste of the fruit itself surpassed everything else. Rumble, in an instant, his entire body shook violently. The liquid was like magma, emitting endless energy that flowed into his limbs and almost spread to every corner of his body. Without a doubt, in addition to the excellent taste, the ginseng fruit also contained an unimaginably huge amount of life energy. This was the spiritual qi of the universe that had been absorbed for tens of thousands of years, the nutrients of the Xianhuang soil, and the essence of the ginseng fruit tree itself. This was like a top cultivator who had cultivated for 30,000 years. Now that it was concentrated into a single fruit, one could imagine how enormous the energy was. It was simply frightening. So hot. Xia Ping felt his body heat up like a furnace. This energy was like the sun, burning everything. If it wasn't for his powerful physique, he would have long since been burned to death. It was no wonder that the ginseng fruit could only be eaten by immortals. If mortals got their hands on it, even if they ate a little, they would explode from the energy and die. Sometimes, immortal fruits were things that mortals didn't have the fortune to enjoy. They couldn't bear it at all. At this time, the spiritual power in the depths of his body was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was like a flood, filling up his 9 purple mansions in an instant. The energy contained in this ginseng fruit was simply too huge. It surpassed any pill that he had taken before. Just one ginseng fruit had saved him thousands and tens of thousands of years of condensing magic power. Dong! There was almost no obstruction. Xia Ping's 9 purple mansions shook fiercely. It was as if heaven and earth were being split apart. The void shattered, and a certain bottleneck was easily broken. Middle stage law phase realm. At this moment, he knew that he had finally advanced to the middle stage of the transcendence realm. He didn't feel happy or sad. He knew that this was a matter of course. Even if he didn't take the ginseng fruit, he would have advanced sooner or later. However, after taking this ginseng fruit, there was no doubt that it greatly reduced the process and time of his advancement. Whoosh! The spiritual power in the 9 purple mansions turned into a huge whirlpool. It was like an awl, drilling into the depths of the void. The deeper it went, the faster the space opened up. Every purple mansion was expanding towards the depths of the sea of consciousness. The area of the space was increasing. The spiritual power in the depths of his purple mansions was also rising. Almost in an instant, the 9 purple mansions had doubled in size. It was as if every space had become a small world. Because Xia Ping had 9 purple mansions, his spiritual power had increased by 9 times. Even because the purple mansions were expanding crazily, his primordial spirit was also strengthening. The range of his divine sense kept increasing. In the end, it had expanded to 20 billion kilometers. This kind of divine sense was simply terrifying. Even an ordinary Thunder Tribulation Realm cultivator couldn't compare to it. With just a thought, his divine sense seemed to condense into a substance. He could interfere with space. With just a thought, he could instantly kill countless mortals. It was effortless. This was a supreme realm where he could kill a country with a glare. This feels good. However, this wasn't the end. Xia Ping felt that the medicinal power of the ginseng fruit was still fermenting. A huge amount of energy surged into the depths of every cell. It was as if it was transforming his body from the outside. The golden crow of hell cells in his body were also awakening crazily. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. In the end, he had awakened 15 million golden crow of hell cells. In other words, he had awakened about 70 to 80 million golden crow of hell cells. He wasn't far from 100 million golden crow of hell cells. Such power! Xia Ping clenched his fists. The blood in his body was boiling. His blood almost turned dark gold. It was extremely noble. It was as if he was a supreme existence. His power was also extremely tyrannical. It was as if a golden crow of hell had descended into his body. He possessed the power of a divine beast. Every inch of his muscles contained explosive energy. The depths of every cell contained lava-like energy. If they exploded, it would be equivalent to a nuclear bomb. My vitality is too strong. Xia Ping felt that he had become the legendary Tripitaka's flesh. Due to his powerful vitality, even if he cut off a piece of his flesh and let a mortal consume it, they would probably live for 5,000 years without any diseases or disasters. If a cultivator obtained it, they would immediately comprehend countless divine power profundities. At the same time, their lifespan would increase by 1,000 years. It was many times better than many pills in the world. My lifespan has also increased. Xia Ping's divine sense sank into the depths of his body. He sensed that his lifespan was also constantly increasing. It exceeded the imagination of all living beings. He had a lifespan of about 80 million years. It was enough for him to live until the end of time. Xia Ping felt extremely emotional. He remembered that on Earth in his previous life, humans had only appeared for a few million years. However, his lifespan had already reached 80 million years. Chapter 1904. Inside the space of the Pearl of Mountain and River. While Xia Ping was cultivating in seclusion, consolidating his mid-stage transcendence realm cultivation, the immemorial species captured by Xia Ping, such as Fei, Crow, Demon Bird, Amethyst Tiger, Nine-Headed Lion, Void Butterfly, Golden Ant, and so on, were being publicly auctioned. There were a total of 36 of these immemorial species. The host was the Azure Bull. The participants of the auction were the Rabbit Ear Race, Angel Race, Luohan Race, Winged Race, and so on. Because the space of the Pearl of Mountain and River was really short of people, the medicinal field that could be cultivated was constantly increasing. They were very short of manpower, so they needed a lot of hard labor. The girls who managed the medicinal field were very tired every day. These immemorial species were caught by Xiaoping, so they suddenly became the best hard labor and were favored by the girls. At the same time, they couldn't cause any trouble because the moment they entered the Pearl of Mountain and River, the Azure Bulls sealed their cultivation, so they couldn't cause any damage in the Pearl of Mountain and River. The group of immemorial species was extremely sullen. They were fierce creatures outside, and their ominous names shook the universe. Now, they actually became prisoners and were being auctioned in public. That kind of sullenness was indescribable. Especially Fei and Crow Demon Bird. They were even more indignant. They always wanted to escape, unwilling to be someone else's slave here. The auction has begun. The Azure Bull was hosting the auction. He pointed at three of them. Fei, Crow Demon Bird, Amethyst Tiger. You three go up. Be obedient and don't play tricks. Hearing this, Fei, Crow Demon Bird, and Amethyst Tiger obediently went up without saying anything because they had suffered enough these days. If they didn't listen, they would be beaten up. However, Fei was still very unconvinced and secretly sent a voice transmission. Humph. If this damn old man is the tool spirit of this spatial magic treasure and has a bit of ability, believe it or not, I can swallow him in one gulp. Such a small thing is not even enough for me to chew a few times. I swear, no matter which guy I'm sold to, I'll turn that bastard's medicinal field upside down and make this group of stupid slave owners pay a heavy price. How dare you make Fei do manual labor and manage the herbal fields? What a joke. As a dignified Fei, you only know how to destroy things. This is simply a humiliation to us. That's a given. These stupid slave owners think that they have us under their control. It's just a pipe dream. Let's pretend to be well-behaved for now and wait for the right time to kill these idiots. The baleful crow demonic bird also revealed a sinister smile as it spoke in a matter-of-fact manner. At this moment, the green ox said, "All right, there are 3 auction items in front. Choose one and auction it. The highest bidder wins. I want that amethyst tiger. I want a ton of crystal rice. Me too. Give me 2 tons. 3 tons." One by one, the girls raised the price to 3 tons of crystal fragrant rice. All right, 3 tons going once, 3 tons going twice, 3 tons going thrice. Deal. This amethyst tiger is yours. The green ox pointed at one of the winged girls. Thus, the amethyst tiger was dragged down and obtained by the winged race girl. The baleful crow demonic bird, the Fei. Actually, this is not bad. At least we didn't get sold. After a moment of silence, the baleful crow demonic bird said. The Fei nodded. You're right. I have the same feeling. I don't want to be sold either. I don't want to be the slave of those stupid humans. It's a great insult to the dignity of the Fei race. To be honest, no matter which bastard bought me, he'd better kill me on the first day. Otherwise, I'll turn his territory upside down. He'll suffer a complete loss, and he'll have to pay whatever he spends. The baleful crow demonic bird showed a ferocious look. All right, the next auction item, the 9-headed lion. Let the auction begin. The green ox waved his hand and asked the 9-headed lion to go to the exhibition stage. This is the 9-headed lion? It's so majestic. I can tell it's a good labor. I'll give you 5 tons of crystal rice. 7 tons of crystal rice. 8 tons. 9 tons. One by one, the girls looked at the 9-headed lion and said their prices. All right, 9 tons of crystal rice. Going once, going twice, going thrice. All right, no one has a higher price. 9 tons of crystal rice sold. This 9-headed lion is yours. The green ox made the final decision. A girl from the cat ears race excitedly pulled the 9-headed lion back. The baleful crow demonic bird, the Fei. Yes, there's nothing we can do about the 9-headed lion. That guy is too strong, and his entire body is covered in muscles. It has 9 heads, and I suspect that all 9 of its heads are muscles. Everyone knows that it's a superior labor force with extraordinary strength. The baleful crow demonic bird said, yes, it's full of muscles. Buying it is equivalent to buying 2. Buy 1, get 1 free. Only an idiot wouldn't buy it. The Fei nodded. The baleful crow demonic bird said, if it were me, I'd buy it even if I went bankrupt. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm a little confused now. How did that human Woo-Woody catch it? If that guy wants to escape, even a few universe fortresses can't stop him. He can even pull planets. The Fae sighed. All right, next, the golden ant. Let the auction begin. The green ox continued. Seeing the golden ant coming up, the baleful crow demonic bird and the Fae showed a trace of contempt in their eyes. They straightened their bodies as if they could read each other's minds. Golden ant? I'll pay 2 tons of crystal rice. A girl from the rabbit ears race said. 2 tons of crystal rice. Does anyone want to increase the price? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay, no one wants to increase the price. 2 tons of crystal rice sold. This golden ant is yours. The green ox announced that the auction was closed. The baleful crow demonic bird, the Fae. Something's wrong. The baleful crow demonic bird looked at the Fae with a gloomy expression. Yes, it's so strange to choose slaves like this. To be honest, do these guys really know what kind of slaves they want? The Fae was a little dissatisfied. The baleful crow demonic bird felt a little angry and said, they actually chose the golden ant instead of us. Such a standard is too strange. Do they know what golden ants can do? They're just ants. They can't do anything. They're small and only know how to eat all day. Buying them is a losing business. What are they thinking? Women are like this. Their hair is long, but their knowledge is short. They probably see that they're golden and beautiful, so they want to catch them as pets. The Fae despised. Slaves aren't ornamental objects. What's the use of beautiful ones? What we need are big, strong, hardworking, and a bunch of ignorant women. Chapter 1905. To be honest, is it because we're standing in the wrong position? Those guys are standing on the far left, which is also the position closest to the auctioneer. That's why they chose them. The baleful crow demon bird raised its doubts. It's very possible. Maybe it has a lot to do with the position. Those guys like to choose slaves close to them. To be honest, if I had stood on the far left at the beginning, I would have been sold a long time ago. There's no doubt about it. The Fae nodded in agreement. It felt that this was the most reasonable reason. Okay, next, the three-eyed magic monkey. At this time, the black ox announced the next candidate slave and let the three-eyed magic monkey, the primordial species, go to the auction platform. Seeing the short, three-eyed magic monkey, the baleful crow demon bird, and the Fae looked at each other with satisfaction. They saw each other's confidence. Okay, it's settled. It seems that I will be sold this time. Brother, I don't think I can stay with you next time. The baleful crow demon bird breathed a sigh of relief. That's for sure. Brother, good luck. You must turn those abominable guys upside down and show us the elegance of the primordial species. We can't be looked down upon. The Fae said, Three-eyed magic monkey? I want it. 8 tons of crystal rice. A girl from the Sucking Blood clan immediately started the auction. 8 tons. Someone offers 8 tons. Is there any higher price? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay, deal. 8 tons of crystal rice. This three-eyed magic monkey is yours. The black ox made the final decision. Damn it. Is there any justice? What happened? You chose a monkey instead of me? This is too much. You look down on the baleful crow demon bird. Do you know how powerful our clan is? We are primordial fierce birds. Do you know anything about primordial fierce birds? The baleful crow demon bird cursed. Shady business. There must be some shady business. This is a *T auction. Don't you have any eyes? Do you know how to auction slaves? You like a monkey, but you don't like me. The Fae was so angry that it couldn't bear it anymore. Take a look for yourselves. Is that monkey material suitable for planting medicinal herbs? It only knew how to climb trees or eat bananas. It didn't know how to do anything. What was the point of choosing it? Of course, brother, I'm not saying this to target you. The main thing is that this group of people is too much. They don't have any foresight or common sense. I suspect that they haven't gone to school and don't know how to choose slaves. The baleful crow demonic bird said, Is that so? Stupid bird. Why does it sound like you're targeting me? And every word you're saying is targeting me. The three-eyed devil monkey's expression was ugly as it looked at the crow fiend devil bird with hostility. Brother crow demon bird is right. This is not a personal attack, but a statement of fact. Everyone look at this monkey. It has shifty eyes, and there is nothing about it that is suitable for farming. If you let it work, it will definitely climb up a tree and be lazy. There is no reason to choose this monkey. The Fae shouted. The three-eyed, devilish monkey's face turned even darker. It was as black as charcoal, and it really wanted to beat these two fellows up. Enough. Slaves are not allowed to speak. All of you shut up, the green ox said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the crow, fiend, devilbird, and the Fae immediately shut their mouths and didn't dare to speak anymore. The following auction also continued. After 3 hours, almost all of the primordial species were sold. Only the crow, fiend, devilbird, and the Fae were left on the auction stage. The two of them felt extremely humiliated. Aside from them, all of the primordial species had been bought. Only the two of them were left. This was too disgraceful and too shameful. All right, the last 2 primordial species have not been sold. The starting price is a ton of crystal fragrant rice. Buy one, get one free. The green ox said. He planned to sell the 2 together. Buy one, get one free. However, the girls present glanced at each other. No one had the intention to make a bid. It seems like no one is bidding. Then let's leave it at that. These 2 are not qualified to be slaves. In the future, they will be used as breeding pigs and give birth to a bunch of small primordial species. The green ox made the decision to leave it at that. Hearing this, the expressions of the crow, fiend, devilbird, and the Fae changed greatly. Even being slaves was better than being breeding pigs. Being ravaged by women day and night was such an unbearable pain. They definitely couldn't live such a humiliating life. Wait, don't go. Don't go. The Fae, am very strong. Just my body is 13,000 kilometers long. Even a planet can be crushed by me. The Fae shouted. I can even endure hardships. Even if I don't have a bed, it doesn't matter. I can completely sleep in the wild. With the ground as my bed and the sky as my blanket, I can endure any hardships. By me. No, by me. As a crow, fiend, devilbird, the worst thing about me is that I like to pursue perfection. I will only stop when I do everything to the best of my ability. The crow, fiend, devilbird shouted. There was once a pest that appeared in the 3,000 li of farmland I managed. I had to inspect it from top to bottom and catch all the pests before I was willing to stop. If you buy me, I'm sure the management of the medicinal fields will be perfect. Every year, you will have a good harvest and make a lot of money. The girls present didn't pay attention to it. They packed up their things and were about to leave. Wait, don't go. Please don't go. Did I say that before? I am very obedient. I will do whatever you tell me to do. I am a completely loyal dog. No one is more loyal than me. The Fae immediately became anxious. If 1 ton is not enough, then half a ton is not enough. We could buy one and get one free. Such a cost-effective thing is very rare. If not, we can do it for free. Don't you want it for free? That's too much. Don't you have any sympathy? The crow, fiend, devilbird was so anxious that its face turned green. It felt that its dignity had been completely swept away. However, in order to avoid becoming a breeding pig, it didn't hesitate to abandon its dignity. It seems that no one is willing to buy you. You don't even want it for free. I have never seen such a useless primordial descendant like you. It seems that only by becoming a breeding pig will you have a little bit of use. The azure ox wanted to catch the 2 and lock them up. No, I don't want to become a breeding pig. No, help, help. Someone save us. The Fae and the crow, fiend, devilbird screamed at the top of their lungs. However, no matter how they screamed, no one paid attention to them. Ha! The azure ox grabbed them with his big hand and temporarily locked them up. He would deal with them in the future. Damn it. Woo-woody, I am absolutely irreconcilable with you. Sooner or later, I will escape. You bunch of blind bastards. The Fae and the crow, fiend, devilbird were both half dead from anger. They were in extreme despair. However, they were all caught and couldn't resist at all. The amethyst tiger, 9-headed lion, golden ant, and the other primordial descendant species were extremely glad when they saw this scene. Fortunately, they didn't become those primordial descendant species that no one wanted for free. Otherwise, they could only end up as breeding pigs. They also raised their spirits. They had to work hard and absolutely couldn't be abandoned. Otherwise, They would become the two useless Fae and Crow Fiend Devilbird. Chapter 1906. More than a month later, in the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, Xiaoping had finally completely consolidated his cultivation at the intermediate stage of the Transcendence Realm. He had thoroughly mastered his magic power, divine sense, and magical power. He could use them freely and fuse them into one. At this moment, he was several times stronger than before. Not only had his magic power and divine sense been greatly enhanced, but even the bloodline in his body had become much richer. He felt that it wouldn't be long before the number of golden crow cells awakened in his body would reach 100 million. At that time, he would welcome a terrifying heavenly tribulation with unimaginable power. Boom, with a thought, Xiaoping operated the magic power in his body. The Kuei Ox, Golden Crow of Hell, Heavenly Dragon, Divine Elephant, Star Body, Thousand-Armed Buddha, Thousand-Eyed Demon, Tao Tai, and the World Tree all rushed out at the same time. These 9 heaven and earth forms were even more powerful and condensed into a solid state. They had also grown a lot. They were thousands of feet tall, like giants, exuding a terrifying sense of oppression. Without using magic treasures, he could probably even defeat a powerhouse at the peak of the Thunder Retribution Realm. Beep! At this moment, the system's voice was heard. Congratulations, host. You have angered the Palace of Darkness, the Thunder Demon Clan, the Angel Clan, the Buddhist sect, and other forces. You have incurred a large amount of hatred. This time, you have received a total of 120 hatred crystals. I hope you will continue to work hard. 120 hatred crystals. Xiaoping heard this voice and immediately smiled. It seemed that this plan was very effective. He had incurred a large amount of hatred. In addition to the hatred crystals he had obtained before, he had a total of 440 hatred crystals on him. He wasn't too far away from getting 1,000 hatred crystals. By the way, I wonder how those primordial species are doing. Xiaoping walked out of his seclusion. He suddenly remembered the many primordial species that he had captured before. At that time, he was planning to break through to the intermediate stage of the Transcendence Realm, so he had no time to manage them. Therefore, he left these primordial species to the Green Ox to manage. He did not know what was going on now. With a thought, he immediately summoned the Green Ox. Whoosh! The Green Ox's figure flashed and immediately appeared in front of Xiaoping. It was the artifact spirit of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. It could teleport in this space and reach any corner with just a thought. It also quickly knew what Xiaoping wanted to ask. Master, don't worry. This group of archaic descendants won't be able to cause any trouble. They're already obedient and recognize their status as slaves. They're currently working hard for us. The Green Ox smiled. Really? Xiaoping's expression was strange. He knew how proud and arrogant these primordial descendants were. Wanting them to work obediently was probably more difficult than ascending to the heavens. Now, they were actually subdued by the Azure Ox. With a wave of his hand, he mobilized the energy of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. Instantly, a virtual projection appeared. It was the scene of many primordial descendants working. A young girl from the winged race was riding on the amethyst tiger. She was plowing deep ravines and planting spirit grains in the pear fields. In just a few breaths of time, an area of several hundred miles of farmland had been cleared, and large amounts of spirit grains had been planted. It had to be said that the amethyst tiger was worthy of being an archaic descendant. Its work efficiency was leveraged. In addition, there were also golden ants, 9-headed lions, 3-eyed devil monkeys, and other primordial descendants that were captured to work. They were also very diligent and didn't have the slightest intention of slacking off. What about the Fae and the baleful crow demon bird? Xiaoping found that 2 primordial descendants were missing and not working. Because no one wanted them and they liked to slack off, they didn't work hard, so they were temporarily locked up. I was just thinking about how to make use of the waste and let them breed and give birth to a bunch of small primordial descendants. This is a good research topic. The Green Ox had a fanatical expression. With a wave of its hand, a virtual projection appeared. The Fae and baleful crow demon bird immediately appeared in front of Xiaoping. However, These two primordial descendants were very miserable. They were locked up in the cave and seemed to have starved for a long time. Now, they were already dispirited and had a look of despair. All right, Xiaoping nodded. Since he knew that these primordial descendants wouldn't cause any big trouble, he was relieved. Handing these primordial descendants over to the green ox to manage was clearly the right thing to do. That's right. How are the 9 ginseng fruit trees? He thought of the ginseng fruit trees he obtained before. Their condition is very good. Hearing Xiaoping mention this matter, the green ox seemed to be very excited. The land formed from the black-yellow earth is indeed powerful. There are large amounts of life and active substances inside, very suitable for the growth of spirit medicines. The 9 ginseng fruit trees are also growing very well and are full of vitality. I estimate that in another 30,000 years, they can bear another batch of ginseng fruits. We can continuously obtain these spirit fruits. However, more importantly, I discovered that on that piece of land, deep in the soil, there are actually many seeds of ginseng fruit trees left behind. They still possess very strong vitality. Ginseng fruit tree seeds? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. That's right, seeds. The green ox was so excited that it danced with joy. According to what Master said before, the 9 ginseng fruit trees are on the verge of death. As a living creature, they are also frantically leaving behind many descendants and seeds. After countless years, they have also borne large amounts of ginseng fruits. However, because no one can enter, these ginseng fruits have all rotted on the ground, and their flesh has seeped into the depths of the soil. Although the flesh has rotted, the seeds inside have not. Instead, they are buried in the depths of the soil, waiting to grow, break out of the shell, and have a chance to be reborn. It indicated that these ginseng fruit tree seeds were in a dormant state. Because no one had activated them or cultivated them, they were still in their most primitive state. However, as long as it carefully cultivated them, these seeds could immediately be revived. In fact, they could even grow into mature ginseng fruit trees in the future. How many of these seeds are there? Xiaoping asked. I carefully counted. There are 18,793 of them. If all of them are still alive, then we will have at least 18,000 ginseng fruit trees. It won't be a problem for us to surpass the Good Fortune Saint's results. The green ox was brimming with confidence. Although the Good Fortune Saint was fierce, everyone had their own specialties. When it came to cultivating plants, the green ox had a strong confidence in himself. However, the most important thing was that its master had the existence of the world tree. With the purest source strength of this plant, no matter how much it was cultivated, these ginseng fruit trees would not die. In fact, cultivating ginseng fruit trees was extremely difficult. If they were not cultivated properly and the nutrients weren't sufficient, they would immediately die. Thus, over the years, even the Good Fortune Saint had only managed to cultivate 9 ginseng fruit trees. Chapter 1907. Where's the ginseng pill? How's the concoction going? Xiaoping asked. He couldn't wait to get his hands on the ginseng pill. Who knew how many years of magic power he would gain from consuming one? Because he had the 9 general principles sea of consciousness, it was 100 times more difficult for him to advance to the next level than for ordinary people. Without the help of such pills, it would take a lot of time. There are still a few months before I can successfully concoct it. There are many processes, and every kind of spiritual medicine needs to be concocted properly, the green ox replied, indicating that it would take a long time. Xiaoping nodded. He understood. After all, concocting pills was a very difficult task. A slightly more precious pill would take more than 3 months to concoct. If it was a saint-level pill, it would probably take more than 100 years to concoct. By the way, has anything happened in the map of heavens these days? After understanding what had happened in the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, Xiaoping wanted to know what had happened in the outside world. After all, he had been in seclusion for such a long time that he was very isolated from the outside world. Most importantly, he would be leaving the map of heavens in a few days. He still hadn't obtained the famous saint-level pill, the fortune pill. Of course, even if he didn't get the fortune pill after obtaining the ginseng fruit trees, it wouldn't be a big problem. Nothing special has happened. There's still no news of the fortune pill appearing. Or perhaps it has already appeared, but someone deliberately concealed it. After all, it's a supreme treasure, the green ox said in a low voice. The azure ox said in a low voice, indicating that while Xia Ping was in seclusion, the myriad heavens fortune diagram had been calm and peaceful, and nothing earth-shattering had happened. If not, then forget it. Xia Ping waved his hand. In any case, it would be over in a few days. He'd better stay in the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers. After all, the map of heavens was very large. He wouldn't be able to create anything in a few days. Boom! Suddenly, the entire space of the pearl of mountains and rivers shook violently. What happened? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. Such a thing had never happened before. Master, there seems to be a huge change in the map of heavens. Because of the energy fluctuations outside, the pearl of mountains and rivers has been affected. The green ox immediately knew the cause of the matter. Such a thing happened. Xia Ping's figure flashed. He immediately left the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers and arrived outside. He immediately sensed that the surrounding space was violently shaking, as if a mysterious and powerful energy was brewing. Whoosh! In the next second, this energy instantly enveloped Xia Ping's entire body. With stellar transposition, Xia Ping didn't even have time to react before he was teleported to another place. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and looked around. He discovered that he had been teleported to a strange and mysterious land. The surroundings were lush with countless green plants. It was full of vitality. At the same time, this continent was filled with dense natural energy, so dense that it was almost corporeal, transforming into spiritual liquid. Every breath of it seemed to have the effect of increasing one's life, force, and constitution. There was no doubt that this continent was a holy land for cultivation. Moreover, he was not the only one who had been transported to this place. As time passed, light flickered and a dense crowd of people appeared around him. They were all the almighty beings who had entered the creation map of heavens. They didn't expect something like this to happen. They were teleported to this place in an instant. Seeing so many strangers around them, they immediately became vigilant and guarded against each other. Without knowing what was going on, they did not want to act rashly. After all, to be able to teleport so many people to this place without any resistance, this power was not to be underestimated. Everyone, do any of you know where this place is? I'm not sure. I've never seen this continent before. Is it still in the creation map of heavens? Who exactly has the power to teleport so many of us to this place at the same time? Could be a sage? Even if it's not a sage, it must be in existence at the level of a sage. Otherwise, it's impossible for it to have such power. Stop guessing. I feel that this is definitely the power of the creation map of heavens. Only a peerless sage weapon like this could do something like this so easily. The crowd discussed among themselves. They were also very confused and wanted to know what was going on. Rumble, before they could figure out what was going on, a huge scarlet ancient furnace suddenly appeared in the sky above the continent. There were many pictures engraved on it. There were divine beasts such as the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, the azure dragon, and the white tiger. There were also ancient ferocious beasts such as the Baifeng, the blue luan, the Tao Tai, and the Kuimping. It emitted an ancient and desolate aura, suppressing the world. It was as if the ancient furnace had become the only thing in the world the moment it appeared. It was filled with an overwhelming aura, as if a real sage had descended, causing everyone to feel suffocated. A high-grade sage weapon, the ancient furnace of desolation. Someone immediately recognized the ancient furnace. This is one of the sage of good fortune's life treasures. It is a tyrannical treasure used to refine countless pills. To think that it would appear in a place like this, inside the creation map of heavens. There had been countless people who had tried to find traces of the ancient furnace of desolation, but no one had been able to find it. There were even people who believed that it had been destroyed in the Great War and turned into ashes. But who would have thought that it would appear inside the creation map of heavens? It must have been hiding here all along. No wonder no one had been able to find traces of the ancient furnace of desolation. Your luck isn't bad. Suddenly, the ancient furnace of desolation's voice rang out. It was grand, distant, dignified, unfathomable, and filled with a sense of oppression. After 100,000 years, I have finally refined a furnace of pills, including the good fortune pill. My alchemy Tao has reached perfection, and I have comprehended it. Today, it has been upgraded to a peerless sage weapon. Those who come are fated. As for these pills, whoever is fated can take them. What? Everyone was shocked. They didn't think that the famous ancient furnace of desolation would be upgraded to a peerless sage weapon. It has to be known that after becoming a peerless sage weapon, one's magic power would be unfathomable. Even a normal sage wouldn't be able to do anything to it. That was why the creation map of heavens was so free and unfettered. It was because it was a sage-level existence. Such an existence wasn't as simple as a mere treasure. It had already transformed into unique life form. Furthermore, once a treasure attained the Tao, the power it could unleash would be even more terrifying. Not even an invincible sage would be able to match it. They were actually lucky enough to witness a treasure that had been upgraded from a high-grade sage weapon to a peerless sage weapon. Walala, the ancient furnace of great desolation opened up a red passageway. Balls of light instantly shot out from the sky and flew in all directions. The balls of light were like meteors as they fell from the sky, emitting an unparalleled radiance. Chapter 1908. It can't be. There are actually people giving pills? Is there such a good thing in this world? Someone said, look up in the sky. Heavens, there are essence yang pills, earth spirit pills, extreme sovereign pills, clear soul pills, broad hill pills, congealing blue pills, azure frost pills, and so on. All of these top pills are priceless. My mother, there really is a revival good fortune pill inside. Before anyone could question this, a supreme elder with an incomparably deep understanding of pills couldn't help but shout out. His divine sense could feel a massive number of pills contained within these balls of light. There were at least 10,000 of them. Moreover, there were tens of thousands of these balls of light. They flew in all directions of this mysterious continent, emitting a rich pill smell that was mesmerizing to the heart. How could there be so many pills? Don't they need money? That's right. Just how do they refine so many pills? What a joke. This is the ancient furnace of great desolation, a high-grade saint artifact that once followed the saint of good fortune. Its wealth is unimaginable. Even an ordinary saint cannot compare to it. How could it take out so many pills? That's true. To us, these pills are difficult to refine and difficult to find. But to the ancient furnace of great desolation, this isn't anything at all. It's like a drop in the bucket. Meat pies falling from the sky. This is definitely meat pies falling from the sky. This is an eternal, fortuitous encounter. As long as we can snatch one of these balls of light, we can become rich overnight. We can save tens of thousands of years of cultivating magic power, and our cultivation will rise by leaps and bounds. What are we waiting for? Snatch them. Hurry up and snatch them. As everyone saw this, their eyes turned red. Their eyes were like those of rabbits, emitting an incomparably hot light. This scene was no different from a super-rich person throwing money into the sky. As long as they could snatch it, it would belong to them. There was no way they could hold back. Even a highly respected Buddhist monk wouldn't be able to endure such an astonishing scene. After all, this was related to one's own cultivation and the grand Tao of immortality. Who could avoid this? Pills. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could also feel countless balls of light falling from the sky. Immediately, several of these balls of light flew towards him. Each ball of light contained tens of thousands of pills. They seemed to be stored in a spatial bottle and emitted a rich pill smell. It was as if just smelling it would cause one's cultivation to rise. This was the symbol of a top pill. It was priceless. There were people in the surroundings who were getting restless, trying to snatch these balls of light. Infernal golden crow claw. In the blink of an eye, Xia Ping took a step forward. A dark golden claw grabbed out from the void, creating a terrifying vortex that seemed to form a huge black hole. Boom! In the next second, more than a dozen balls of light flew toward the giant claw at lightning speed, as if they were being pulled by gravity, and fell into Xiaoping's hands. Damned human brat! Immediately hand over all the pills inside, or you'll be killed without mercy. An early-stage lightning tribulation realm demon, king, multicolored tiger, charged over from afar. It let out an earth-shattering roar. Its eyes were red and contained a shocking, killing intent. It rode on the black, demonic wind, and its mountain-like body pounced over. It emitted a terrifying aura, as if the sky was about to collapse. Tiger shatters heaven and earth. The Demon King multicolored tiger used a supreme killer move right from the start. It contained the terrifying magic power of an early-stage lightning tribulation realm demon king. 2 tiger claws attacked, and there seemed to be a tiger god phantom behind it. The power of the tiger claws was earth-shattering. It seemed like it could tear everything apart. Even mica steel, dark gold stone, and other cosmic-grade materials couldn't withstand it and would be torn into countless pieces, let alone flesh and blood. Human brat, how dare you take all the pills for yourself? Kill without mercy. Anyone who dares to stop me will die. All of you die. These pills all belong to this king. You bunch of trash, Scram. Apart from the Demon King multicolored tiger, more than a dozen Demon Kings flew over from all directions. They were at least lightning tribulation realm experts. There were venomous crows, emerald birds, blood moon wolves, earth bears, and so on. They were all famous and tyrannical demon kings of the demon race. The other Transcendence Realm demon kings didn't dare to move at all because they knew that they would die if they approached. They would be instantly torn into pieces by the power of the lightning tribulation realm demon kings. Rumble. The demon kings attacked from all directions. They contained boundless killing intent and interweaved into a huge net that enveloped the area completely. It seemed like they wanted to destroy this area completely. Countless beams of light bombarded, seemingly piercing through the void. There was no way to avoid them. Scram! Xiaoping raised his head and looked at the group of demon kings. He didn't move, but the 9 purple mansions in his body vibrated. A tyrannical magic power rushed out from the depths of his body and rushed into the sky. Immediately, a divine elephant that was 10,000 feet tall stepped out of the void. It emitted an unparalleled pressure that shook the world and the void. This power was so tyrannical that it made people's hair stand on end. It seemed like the space couldn't withstand this unparalleled power and was about to shatter. It didn't seem to make any movements. It just lightly bumped forward, and immediately, a terrifying power blasted out. All the air in the surroundings was repelled, forming a vacuum within a radius of 10,000 miles. And the air condensed into a terrifying pressure wall. It was compressed crazily with boundless power. Dong! In an instant, the rainbow tiger, the venomous crow, the emerald bird, the blood moon wolf, the great earth bear, and the other demon kings did not even have the time to scream. Their bodies were hit by this powerful force, and their bodies instantly exploded into pieces, turning into meat paste. Blood fell from the sky like rain, dyeing the area within a radius of 100 miles into a blood-colored lake. Immediately, these dozen demon kings died tragically. Not even their bones were left. F*CK. What the F*CK happened? They're all dead? Some lightning tribulation realm demon kings who were a step late were instantly scared to the point of wetting their pants. They retreated as fast as they came, as if they had encountered a poisonous snake. They were scared out of their wits, because those were lightning tribulation realm demon kings. They were existences on the same level as them. It was extremely difficult to kill such almighty beings. But what was going on now? This human merely used his heaven and earth manifestation and lightly bumped into them, and the dozen demon kings' bodies were smashed to pieces. They didn't even have time to scream. This was too exaggerated. Was he still human? Some of the Transcendence Realm demon kings were so scared that their faces turned green. Those Thunder Tribulation Realm demon kings died so easily. If this human demon god were to deal with them, wouldn't he be able to kill them with just a breath? Sorry, because I just broke through. I couldn't control my strength. They were smashed to pieces with a light bump. What a pity. These are all demon kings, superior labor force. They're suitable to be captured and used as laborers to farm. Xiaoping patted his head with an apologetic expression. It was a pity to kill these demon kings. His pearl of mountains and rivers lacked manpower. If he captured all these demon kings and used them as laborers, he didn't know how much the Green Ox's workload would be reduced. After all, such slaves are not easy to find. Wu Wudi, this guy is the human demon, Wu Wudi. F***CK Run. Chapter 1909. What? The ferocious Wu Wudi of the human race? Upon hearing those words, all the monster kings present were so scared that they peed their pants. Their guts were shattered, and their eyes were filled with endless fear. Wu Wudi's reputation was like a tree's shadow. If it was a few years ago, no one would have known this kid. He was just a nobody. But over the years, this guy had been fighting everywhere, causing trouble everywhere. He had done many shocking things. He had offended the Mystic Heaven sect, the 10,000 Poison sect, the Heavenly Reflection sect, the Buddhist sect, the Angel clan, the Wolf clan, the Elephant clan, the Sucking Blood clan, and many other terrifying forces. Recently, he had become even more rampant. He had even offended the Palace of Darkness, the Thunder Demon clan, and other major forces. He was unscrupulous and boundless. Now, everyone knew this bold Wu Wudi. Even many forces in the central universe knew this troublemaker. The problem was that even though this kid was so arrogant, offending people everywhere, and killing geniuses of major forces, he was still alive and well. No one could do anything to him. This guy's reputation was built on killing. Countless demon kings had died in his hands. No one would dare to say that there was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. F***CK. He's the legendary Wu Wudi of the human race. How did he encounter this ferocious god? He's so unlucky. No wonder he killed Thunder Tribulation realm demon kings like killing chickens. A demon king was scared to death. Its face was pale. After knowing that this person was Wu Wudi, it immediately understood that even though this kid looked like he was at the mid-stage of the Transcendence realm, his combat power was terrifying. How many Thunder Tribulation realm demon kings had died in this kid's hands? There was a whole bunch of them. Run quickly. This kid is crazy. Not only does this bastard kill demon kings, but he also kills human mighty figures when he's mad. The corpses of mighty figures that have died in his hands are enough to pile up a mountain. Many demon kings were scared and wanted to retreat. They didn't want to continue fighting for these pills. This was because the ferocious and invincible reputation of the human race was too terrifying. They were afraid before the battle even started. This was the use of reputation. Sometimes, reputation alone was enough to shock all the races in the world. You bunch of cowards. You're just a mere human, and a transcendence ant at that. You're so scared before the battle even starts. Are you still demon kings? He's no different from a dog. It's so funny. A demon king of the elephant race shouted angrily, berating this group of cowardly bandits. They hadn't even fought yet, but they were already scared to such a state by a mere human. This was simply a disgrace to the demon race. Although it had heard of Wu Wudi's reputation, in its eyes, it was just a rumor made up by the human race. How could a mere human be so terrifying? If it was too exaggerated, it would instead highlight the unreality. It knew that those humans liked to brag. Things that were originally the size of a grain of rice were boasted to be as big as a planet. What's wrong? You bunch of gutless bandits. I've seen through your thoughts, so you don't dare to speak anymore? I knew that all of you were as timid as mice. You're all useless things. I don't know how you managed to cultivate to this realm. Seeing that none of the demon monarchs dared to speak, the elephant demon monarch felt even more smug. He felt that he had suppressed these demon monarchs. He felt as though he was the king of demon monarchs, and his ego was about to swell to no end. Elephant demon monarch, look behind you. An eagle demon king gulped and said with a trembling voice. There was terror in the depths of his eyes. Look behind you? What are you looking at? You're just causing trouble for no reason. The elephant demon monarch cursed and turned around. His pupils immediately constricted because the human, Wu Wudi, had appeared behind him out of nowhere and was looking at him with a smile. You're the elephant demon monarch? You have a good physique and are very strong. It seems like you're a good slave. Xiaoping touched his chin and grabbed with his large hand. Slave my ass. Human, you're courting death. The elephant demon monarch roared. He felt a great sense of danger, as though the god of death had descended. He unleashed all the demonic power in his body, as though he was tearing the void apart. There was no doubt that this was the peak of his combat strength in his life. He unleashed all the dermic powers in his body in an instant. This power was enough to tear apart any demon monarch. However, the large hand pressed down like an eagle catching a chick. Dong! With just one palm, the elephant demon monarch's shield of vigor instantly shattered. The divine powers and dermic powers that erupted from his body were instantly shaken into nothingness. The terrifying force seeped into his internal organs, causing him to bleed from his 7 orifices. With a snap, all his limbs broke. He knelt on the ground on the spot, and his huge body collapsed into the ground. No. I'm the elephant demon monarch, the demon monarch of the elephant clan. If you dare to harm me, my clan's patriarch will not spare you. Absolutely not. The elephant demon monarch screamed in horror. At this moment, he finally knew what fear was. He finally understood why Wu Wudi had such a great reputation that made many demon monarchs tremble in fear. As an elephant, the power and dermic powers he possessed were simply a joke in front of this human. He was as weak as a 3-year-old child and had no power to resist at all. However, it was already too late for him to understand this. Oh, tell your patriarch to bite me. With a snap, Xiaoping grabbed with his large hand and instantly dragged the elephant demon monarch into the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. He was completely suppressed, and from then on, he would be a slave in the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers day and night. Oh my God! When the many demon monarchs saw this scene, they were even more frightened. That was the famous elephant demon monarch. His dermic powers stood at the peak of all demon monarchs, and he had immense strength. But now, he was captured just like an eagle capturing a chick. He easily captured the elephant demon monarch and locked him up as a slave. What ferocious might was this? Retreat quickly. We are no match for this human demon. Hurry up and escape. Don't stay here and send yourselves to death. The many demon monarchs roared angrily and scattered like monkeys when a tree fell. They fled in all directions, hoping to escape with their lives. Don't run anymore. Come back, 1,000-armed Buddha. Xiaoping's body trembled, and a 1,000-armed Buddha immediately appeared. It emitted boundless golden light that pierced through heaven and earth. Golden hands traversed the void and slammed down from the sky. Dong! 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 Within a 500-kilometer radius, the demon monarchs had nowhere to run. A golden hand slammed down like catching a chick. They were instantly captured. Even if they used their divine powers and dermic powers, they were instantly defeated and turned into a ball of essence chi. The demon monarchs let out tragic cries. Their bodies were severely injured, and their bones were broken. They could not help but spit out a large mouthful of blood. They were half dead from the slap and could not resist at all. The group of demon monarchs immediately became dispirited and could no longer move. Capture. Chapter 1910. At this moment, the demon kings 500 kilometers away were scared out of their wits when they saw this scene. They no longer dared to fight with Xiaoping for the pills. All of them wished that their parents had given them a few more pairs of wings. They quickly fled into the distance, afraid that they would be captured and turned into slaves by Xiaoping. In an instant, there was almost no sign of human habitation within a radius of 5,000 kilometers. No demon king dared to stay here, and even the humans fled. Who didn't know that this was a peerless demon who would even capture humans when he became savage? What great place. Looks like I have to seize the opportunity to capture a few more primordial species and plunder more pills. Xiaoping touched his chin. He sensed the dozen or so light orbs he had obtained. There were too many pills in them. 10 billion universe dollars was insufficient to describe the value of these pills. Obtaining a single light orb was enough to make a lightning tribulation realm powerhouse green with envy. If he wanted to advance to the lightning tribulation realm, or even higher realms, he would need to consume unimaginable pills. He had to seize every opportunity and plunder a large number of fortuitous opportunities. Swoosh! Xiaoping's figure flashed, and he immediately flew toward the east. His divine sense sensed that dozens of light orbs had fallen there. A large number of experts had gathered there and were frantically fighting over them. On a plain, many lightning tribulation realm powerhouses were fighting over the pills. They used all their strength and fought fiercely. The surrounding world's energy shook crazily, as if a nuclear bomb had exploded. Fortunately, this mysterious continent was extremely tough. Even if these lightning tribulation realm powerhouses used all their strength, they couldn't damage it at all. Otherwise, an ordinary planet would have collapsed long ago. All of you scram. In the blink of an eye, a peerless demon dressed in blue roared angrily and unleashed a supreme divine ability. It turned into numerous mountains and oceans that covered the sky and earth, sweeping through everything in its path. In an instant, all the great powers in the surroundings were blasted away. Boom! In the next second, he reached out and grabbed 2 or 3 balls of light, then put the pills into his bag. This was the famous old demon of mountains and seas. He came from a myriad demon's nest of the southern universe, and was so savage that even the myriad poison sect was extremely fearful of him. Haha, these pills are all mine now. After succeeding in his attack, Old Demon Sea and Mountain wanted to flee. Even though he had just used a supreme divine ability to send many mighty beings flying and had taken the lead, it was still impossible for him to deal with so many mighty beings. Benefactor, this item is fated with me. Would you be willing to part with it? With a whoosh, a figure immediately appeared behind Old Demon of Mountains and Seas. It was Xiaoping. He put his palms together, and his eyes shone as if there were stars in them. He had a sincere expression on his face. Cut your mother. You still want to cut your treasures? Die. When the Old Demon of Mountains and Seas heard someone say something behind him, he was scared half to death. There was actually someone who could appear behind him without him noticing. If this person was plotting against him, wouldn't he be as good as dead? However, he could also be considered a peerless demon who had experienced hundreds of battles. He immediately reacted and began to counterattack. Demonic Mountain Sea Fist. Old Demon of Mountains and Seas roared furiously and punched out. All of his magic power surged out, and a Dharma idol of the heaven and earth rapidly condensed, turning into a 30,000-meter tall mountain and a boundless ocean. However, this wasn't an ordinary mountain. It was a mountain formed from skeletons, corpses, and other things. It emitted a terrifying black, malevolent aura and endless resentment. This ocean wasn't an ordinary ocean either. It was a sea of blood, as if it was formed from the blood of various races and living beings in the universe. It was unknown how many terrifying, vengeful spirits and evil spirits were hidden in the depths of the sea. The 30,000-meter tall mountain and the sea of blood came crashing down. The terrifying black, malevolent aura corroded the space, as if it was going to dye the world into a dark, demonic domain, turning it into an abyssal world. Why are you angry? This item isn't fated with Benefactor. If you forcefully ask for it, you'll probably suffer a calamity. Xiaoping smiled faintly and remained unmoved. He pressed down his palm lightly. Boom! Immediately, the mountain and the sea of blood seemed to be pressed down by a dark golden Buddha's hand from the void. A terrifying power crushed down from all directions, enveloping everything. What? Old Demon of Mountains and Seas was shocked. He couldn't believe it. He felt that all of his magic power were being completely suppressed. It was as if the entire world had become his enemy. Even the endless malevolent aura on his body couldn't erupt. It was firmly suppressed, as if he had been grabbed by a Buddha and brought into the palm of China. He couldn't break free no matter how he tried. This wasn't some kind of magic power. It was purely a supreme magic power that suppressed others with brute force. However, he was a peerless demon, a lightning tribulation almighty, apart from sages, who could use magic power to suppress him to this extent. This was too exaggerated. Who are you? Old demon of mountains and sea's expression was gloomy as he stared at Xiaoping. I'm Wu Wudi, Xiaoping said. Wu Wudi, why you are that rumored lunatic? Old demon of mountains and seas was instantly shocked. Although he had never seen Wu Wudi before, he knew of Wu Wudi's illustrious reputation. Wu Wudi seemed like a rising star, but the things he did made even old demon of mountains and seas sigh. Wu Wudi was a true demon. He did whatever he wanted and was unscrupulous. Although he had committed countless evil deeds and killed people like scything flax, he was simply bullying the weak. If he had to offend the Palace of Darkness, the Buddhist sect, the Angel Clan, and other powers, he wouldn't do it even if he was beaten to death. After all, he didn't despise his long life. Since you're Wu Wudi, you can have half of these light orbs. After knowing Wu Wudi's reputation, old demon of mountains and seas immediately wanted to retreat. There was no need to clash with this lunatic. Half? You've misunderstood. I want all of these things. Xiaoping said. All of them. Hearing this, old demon of mountains and seas immediately exploded. He said angrily, Wu Wudi, don't be so shameless. I've painstakingly obtained these pills, and you want to take them all away with just a sentence? What right do you have? Before he could finish his words, a tyrannical force came crashing down. Boom! In the next second, old demon of mountains and sea's body exploded like a smashed watermelon. Even his primordial spirit was obliterated. Sigh, maybe my attitude is too good, causing this demon to misunderstand something. He still thinks that there's room for negotiation and that he can bargain with me. After living for so many years, he's still so naive. I don't know if his life is too comfortable, don't you think? Xiaoping crushed old demon of mountains and seas and put away the light orbs. He stood with his hands behind his back and lamented. The surrounding mighty figures were sweating profusely. Their bodies were trembling, and a chill rose from the soles of their feet to the top of their heads. F***CK. This is a true peerless demon. He was still smiling and talking to you a second ago, and then he was crushed in the next. He did things as he pleased without any scruples. With such a personality, he would be an idiot if he didn't have strength. However, this kid just happened to have invincible strength. He was a demon among demons. Chapter 1911. What about you guys? What do you think? Xiaoping turned around, looked at the many mighty figures around him, and smiled. Wu Wudi, what are you trying to do? We didn't get any pills, and there's nothing you want here. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat when they heard that. They had a bad feeling about this. Robbery. Xiaoping smiled. Even if these experts didn't get any pills, they still had a lot of good stuff on them. They might even be more valuable than the pills. How would he let them go? Robbery? Wu Wudi, don't go too far. It's fine that you stole all the pills. You're so overbearing, but now you want to rob us? You're too unbridled. Someone cried out in grief and indignation. The experts were so angry that their noses were crooked. They had been in the lightning tribulation realm for a long time. Apart from the sages, they were practically at the peak of the universe. They had always been the ones robbing others, not the other way around. However, this brat was too daring. He actually dared to rob them in broad daylight. Oh, so what if I'm going too far? Are you going to bite me? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. If you don't agree, you'll end up like old demon sea and mountain. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. Brat, let's fight it out with him. It's fine if he stole the pills, but he actually wants to rob us? What wishful thinking. Go kill this brat. I don't believe he has 3 heads and 6 arms. There's no need for you to do anything. We'll kill you first. The experts were all furious. They were completely enraged by Xiaoping and lost their rationality. If they backed out today, they would probably become the laughingstock of the world. No matter what, they had to teach this brat a lesson. Flame slash, ice hammer, lightning god spear, earthquake. One by one, the powerful beings used their natural mystic skills. Terrifying powers burst forth and formed a series of mystic skill formations that struck down at Xiaoping, covering a radius of a few thousand kilometers. They used their full strength and their peak cultivation. They wanted to destroy this brat in one move and let him know that they weren't to be trifled with. In the blink of an eye, the air trembled millions of times, and even space itself rippled. The combined power of these supreme beings was extremely terrifying, turning into an energy tide that destroyed everything. Thousand-armed Buddha, I am the only one. A Dharma idol of heaven and earth appeared on Xiaoping's body. The thousand-armed Buddha was thousands of meters tall and shone with golden light. Thousands of golden arms waved out at the same time. Each of the giant hands seemed to be grabbing the heaven-earth yuan qi, instantly grabbing all the earth, wind, water, fire, and other elements within a radius of over 10,000 kilometers. It was as if they had grabbed the entire void, and everything fell into a state of stillness. Then, the giant hand grabbed the energy, compressed it to the extreme, and smashed it. Dong! The two forces instantly collided with each other. It was as if countless planets had collided with each other, erupting a terrifying power. The collision of the two forces produced a terrifying shockwave that spread in all directions. Every inch of space produced a terrifying energy explosion, containing a terrifying destructive power. Many of the supreme beings could not help but let out shrill screams. Their bodies were hit by the shockwave in an instant, and they were sent flying. They coughed up blood in midair, their bodies injured. Xiaoping was also bombarded by the shockwave. The air trembled millions of times, as if everything was about to be crushed. Even a supreme being in the Thunder Retribution realm could not withstand such a shock. But he was different. His physique was too strong, and it had been tempered to the invincible Vajra realm. Like a golden Arhut, it would not be destroyed even after experiencing thousands of tribulations. Therefore, he was unscathed. Impossible, this kid is unscathed. This must be a joke. He's just a junior in the Dharma idol realm. How can his magical power be so strong that it surpasses us in the Thunder Retribution realm? I can't beat him. I really can't beat him. This damned heavens are blind. How can they let such a villain run rampant? I can't. I still want to fight him to the death. I want to turn defeat into victory. When the supreme beings saw that Xiaoping was unscathed, they went mad with anger. They were extremely unwilling, and their faces revealed unconvinced expressions. They wanted to fight to the death with Xiaoping, but they did not have such a chance. Xiaoping took a step forward and clapped his hands. A heavenly cycle star chart appeared. Countless stars appeared in the depths of the sky, shining with blue starlight. In the next second, countless stars fell, producing a terrifying gravity that crushed everything. Boom! The void shook, producing ripples and buzzing sounds. The supreme beings instantly fainted from the shock. Their heads swelled, and they foamed at the mouth. They were hovering between life and death. Good stuff. Xiaoping went forward and immediately plundered all the treasures on the bodies of the supreme beings. He did not even let go of the clothes on their bodies. After all, these clothes were treasure clothes made of top-grade materials. They were impenetrable, impervious to fire and water. They were priceless. Immediately, the group of Lightning Tribulation Realm experts were stripped naked and hung on a nearby tree. He did not kill the group of supreme beings. He only carved a few words on their bodies, defeated by Wu Wudi. Well, what's up with that ball of light? Is there a creation pill? Suddenly, Xiaoping's divine sense sensed that a ball of light fell from the sky millions of kilometers away. But that ball of light was clearly different from the other balls of light. It emitted golden light like a sun, emitting a scorching aura. It was high and mighty, above everything. Obviously, this ball of light must have an incredible treasure. Otherwise, such a phenomenon wouldn't have appeared. Perhaps the creation pill was inside this ball of light. Let's go. Xiaoping's figure flickered, and he immediately chased after them. Soon, The group of unconscious supreme beings woke up one by one after Xiaoping left. They immediately saw the changes in their bodies, and their expressions changed drastically. Someone immediately screamed like a pig being slaughtered. "Oh my God! The peerless spirit artifact, the everlasting lava spear that I spent many years collecting materials and refining for hundreds of years is gone. That damned bastard stole it. It's my natal magic treasure, a powerful magic treasure that has a chance of advancing to a sage artifact. We even sleep together. It's my wife, but it's gone just like that. It was stolen by that damn bastard. No, no, no. My yin-yang mysterious dragon pill is a supreme-grade pill I refined after collecting dragon blood, dragon horns, and other dragon materials, as well as 108 yin and yang spear herbs. It took me 10 years to refine. One such pill can be exchanged for a planet, but now it's gone. It's all gone. I become a pauper." Some supreme beings were heartbroken and filled with extreme grief and indignation. "Wu Wuti, that damn bastard, I won't forgive him. I definitely won't forgive him. I'll fight him for the rest of my life. Blocking one's path to wealth is like killing one's parents. He stole my life's treasures. I won't rest until he's dead." Plucking the goose's feathers. That bastard plucked the goose's feathers. He even took away my underwear. He didn't even leave me a pair of underwear. Is he the reincarnation of the Taotai race? How can I meet people like this? That bastard is simply insane. He's the enemy of the human race, and he even carved words on our bodies. This is a disgrace, a great disgrace. I must fight it out with him. I'll take him down with me when I meet him. Chapter 1912. Xiaoping ignored the resentment of the almighties who had been plundered by him. He used his extreme speed and chased after the golden ball of light with all his might. However, when he arrived at his destination, he found that he was too late. Several forces had already arrived at this place, but they formed a triangular formation. They were balanced and wary of each other, and no one dared to act rashly. The golden ball of light floated in midair. There didn't seem to be many pills inside, only 3. However, these 3 elixirs were not simple. They were about the size of a fist, and countless complex and mysterious runes appeared on the surface of the elixirs. They emitted a powerful medicinal power and seemed to have a very strong spiritual nature. Xiaoping could sense that these 3 elixirs seemed to be alive. They had become a different kind of energy life form. Without a doubt, these were the famous saint-level elixirs, the fortune elixir. The others also noticed this situation. Their eyes became even more fervent, and they looked determined. After all, this was a great opportunity to become a saint. No one would miss it. I have to succeed. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He looked at these forces and found that he seemed to know them all. Some of the powerful figures were from the Palace of Darkness, including Xiang Yuandong and the others. Some were from the Holy Land of Taichu. Their leaders seemed to be called Su Chong. There were also forces from the Buddhist sect, the Angel Clan, the Demon Clan, the Den of 10,000 Demons, the Elephant Clan, the Primordial Remnant Species, and so on. They were also attracted by the Golden Ball of Light. "Friends, how have you been?" With a whoosh, Xiaoping's figure flashed, and he immediately broke into the crowd, appearing in front of everyone. What? Everyone present was shocked. They did not expect that there would be a fool who would dare to openly break into a place where so many forces were gathered. However, when they saw who it was, their expressions became very ugly. "Wu Wuti, how dare you appear in front of us again?" Xiang Yuandong from the Palace of Darkness was the first to jump out. He stared at Xiaoping with a very gloomy face, and his killing intent was boiling. He did not expect to meet Wu Wuti again so soon. He remembered clearly what had happened before. As an inner disciple of the Palace of Darkness, he should have been invincible with a mid-grade divine artifact. However, he did not expect that a genius like him would be tricked by this despicable and shameless Wu Wuti. He became his opponent's shield, allowing this be *starred to reap all the benefits. "Oh, so it's Xiang Yuandong from the Palace of Darkness. You're still alive? I thought you were bitten to death by those abyssal demons." "You're really lucky," said Xiaoping in surprise. "Scram! I won't die even if you die." Xiang Yuandong was infuriated. This bastard was still wondering why he wasn't dead. Was it because he tricked him and thought that he was dead for sure? This bastard was too despicable. He wanted nothing more than to grab Wu Wudi and tear him into pieces. Wu Wudi, you've caused the deaths of so many Buddhist elders. You've committed a heinous crime, yet you still dare to show off? Do you think that our Buddhist sect is incapable? A group of Buddhist sect elders glared at Xiaoping. The hatred between the Buddhist sect and Wu Wudi could be traced back to the Western universe. At that time, this bastard had pretended to be an eminent Buddhist monk and caused great harm to the Luohan people and the Buddhist sect, causing them to suffer heavy losses. Now, because of this brat's schemes, many Buddhist sect elders had died tragically at the hands of the abyssal demons. The new and old hatred added together was simply indescribable. Masters, you're wrong. If they didn't have the intention to harm others, how could they have been harmed? This is karma. Moreover, they died at the hands of the abyssal demons. They died a worthy death. They helped the people get rid of evil and fed their bodies to the demons. We should celebrate. Why be angry? Xiaoping was calm and composed. Bullsh *T. Hearing this, no matter how cultured the Buddhist sect elders were, they could not help but curse at Wu Wudi for Bullsh *T. Everyone was dumbfounded. A dignified Buddhist sect monk was actually angered to this extent by this brat. One could imagine how despicable this bastard was. Even Buddha was angry. Don't talk about this nonsense. Do you know that you've committed a heinous crime by capturing so many primordial species? Immediately release the baleful crow demon bird, Fei, and the other primordial species. Otherwise, there's no place for you in the vast universe. At this time, a group of primordial species jumped out and looked at Xiaoping with unfriendly expressions. Although the relationship between the primordial species was not good, they still had an organization called the Archaic Alliance. And this alliance was formed by many primordial species to protect themselves. The goal was to prevent the young primordial species from being captured. This organization could be considered one of the top forces in the universe. Therefore, after hearing this news, all the primordial species were furious. This had violated the Archaic Alliance's taboo. It was a serious crime, and he immediately became the primordial species' public enemy. The Buddhist sect, Palace of Darkness, Holy Land of Taichu, and other forces all looked at Xiaoping with schadenfreude. They felt that this brat had offended the Archaic Alliance. Although the Archaic Alliance was not as powerful as the Palace of Darkness, they were few in number and extremely united. Offending one was equivalent to offending a whole group. Even some demonic organizations did not dare to offend the Archaic Alliance, for fear of provoking some old monster. This brat had a face full of ignorance. He did not even know what kind of serious crime he had committed. You captured them with your own ability. Why release them? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. The group of primordial species exploded with anger. They had run amok in the universe for so long, but they had never seen such an arrogant human. He had captured so many of their primordial species as slaves, and yet he was still so arrogant. He had not put the Archaic Alliance at all. All right, I'm not here to chat with you. I'm here to get the fortune pill. Xiaoping waved his hand. He did not want to continue talking nonsense. He went straight to the point. Seeing how afraid you are of each other, you don't dare to make a move, afraid that both sides will suffer. Why don't you give all these fortune pills to me? That way, there will be no reason for you to fight, and there will be no need for both sides to suffer. You can coexist peacefully, and I can get the fortune pill. This is the best of both worlds. Everyone will benefit. What do you think? He made his own suggestion. Scram. Scram as far away as the universe can go. Damn, I've never seen such a shameless person. Best of both worlds? No matter how I look at it, you're the one who'll get all the benefits. This Wawudi is so thick-skinned. Does he really think we're stupid? Everyone cursed loudly. They had never heard such a shameless suggestion before. Wanting to take the good fortune pill for themselves? What a wishful thinking. Chapter 19:13. So, we can't come to an agreement? Xiaoping spread out his hands, feeling that this group of people was very unfriendly. It would be a miracle if they could come to an agreement. Everyone looked at Xiaoping with disdain. This bastard was purely benefiting from this. They didn't get anything at all. How could they come to an agreement? Did he think they were fools? Moreover, the creation pill was a sacred-level pill, extremely precious. It was the foundation of becoming a sage. Who would give it up? Even if there were countless casualties, they would still get a creation pill. They would never give it up. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, before anyone could react, Xiaoping's figure flashed and instantly grabbed the golden ball of light in his hand, easily putting it into his pocket. Since we can't come to an agreement, then let's not talk anymore. I'm taking these creation pills. We'll meet again in the future, Xiaoping said carelessly. He took advantage of the moment when everyone was unprepared and grabbed the golden ball of light. In fact, no one present thought that this kid would dare to do such a thing. After all, there were so many people watching. Who would dare to make a move under the watchful eyes of so many people? Did he have a death wish? Screw you. You want to take the creation pills away just like that? Have you asked for my permission? Xiang Yuandong was furious. If he really let this kid take the creation pills away so brazenly, then he would really be too ashamed to face others. He didn't know how many people would laugh at him. In an instant, he pulled out the Origin White Bone Sword, a mid-grade saint weapon, because he knew how terrifying Wu Wuti was. Wu Wuti's powers were so thick that there was no end to it. Without using a saint weapon, there was no way he could keep this kid here. Boom! He activated all the magic power in his body and slashed with the Origin White Bone Sword in his hand. Thousands of white sword auras blasted down, forming a peerless sword formation that covered a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. Each white sword aura contained chilling, mysterious, penetrative, and tearing auras. It was as if it was going to tear the entire space into pieces. Even a star would be sliced into countless pieces by this sword. Stay here. How dare you attack in front of so many people? Do you know how to write the word death? Su Chong from the Holy Land of Taichu made his move. He immediately took out a red broadsword that reached into the sky and was surrounded by terrifying flames like fire snakes. Low-grade saint artifact, flowing blade like fire blade. He slashed out at Xiaoping. Terrifying flames gathered into a line, as if wanting to tear this space in half and burn the world. Everyone could feel the terror of this blade. Not only was it sharp, but it also contained the power of the mystical flame. It was a terrifying mystical flame that could even burn one's soul. Even the slightest contact would cause one's entire body to be incinerated. Wu Wuti, you peerless demon, today is the day you die. You want to escape? Dream on. Many of the Buddhist faction's experts also attacked and roared angrily. They immediately took out a transparent bead with a swastika symbol engraved on it. There seemed to be a supreme Buddhist scripture inside it. This was a low-grade sacred artifact of the Buddhist sects, whirling prayer beads. As soon as the pearl appeared, golden scriptures burst forth. The countless scriptures intertwined together, seemingly forming a kingdom of Buddha, and the chanting of countless Buddhas could be heard. Rumble, this kingdom of Buddha instantly pressed down on Xiaoping. It was as if the entire void was being suppressed. No demons or ghosts could escape under the power of the Buddhist sections. Rays of golden Buddhist light intertwined with each other, forming a huge net that pierced through the void. This kid is dead for sure. The surrounding almighties all sneered. Now that the three forces were attacking at the same time, with the three saint artifacts in their hands, any Thunder Retribution Realm Almighty would be killed, let alone this junior, who was only in the middle stage of the Transcendence Realm. No matter how cunning this kid was, in the face of absolute power, he was as weak as an ant. Presumably, today was the day that Wu Wuti would be killed. This scourge of the universe would finally disappear, returning the universe to a bright and clear world. Do you think you're the only ones with sacred artifacts? Come out, Brahma Divine, Fire Crafting Cauldron. With a thought, Xiaoping immediately took out the Brahma Divine Fire Crafting Cauldron that he had obtained previously. The huge cauldron instantly stood in the void, enveloping Xiaoping's entire body. At the same time, a supreme array was activated, communicating with the dimension of fire, opening a wormhole. Walala, in the blink of an eye, a terrifying Brahma divine fire erupted from the Brahma divine fire crafting cauldron. This was a transcendent, deviant flame that the good fortune saint had plucked from the depths of the primal chaos. Its might was boundless. Now that it erupted, the surrounding area for hundreds of millions of kilometers turned into a sea of fire. It was as if even the land itself was being melted. Rocks turned to lava and volcanoes erupted. Dong dong dong. The Palace of Darkness, Xiang Yuandong, never imagined that this boy would have a medium-grade sacred artifact on him. He thought that he was the only one with such an artifact and could deal with Wu Wudi. In a moment of carelessness, the white sword lights were instantly destroyed, and his body was sent flying backwards. He didn't know how far he flew, but even the origin white bone sword in his hand was sent flying away. With a puff, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His lungs had been injured. Wisps of Brahma divine fire wrapped around the origin white bone sword, as if they were fighting to the death with the white bone spirit fire. The origin white bone sword turned red and lost a portion of its divine might. Damn it! Su Chong from the Holy Land of Taichu was the most miserable. He realized that the flowing fire blade in his hand was no match for the Brahma divine fire crafting cauldron. Not only was the sacred artifact inferior, but even the flame power contained in his blade was no match for the cauldron. With just one blow, the Brahma divine fire devoured the flame power of the flowing fire blade like a big fish devouring a small fish. After suffering such a heavy blow, his entire body was sent flying by a ball of flame. His entire body was burned like charcoal, and even his hair was burned clean. It was as if he had shaved his head. Oh no, this is the Brahma divine fire. The whirling prayer beads are no match for it. Retreat, retreat quickly. The expressions of many Buddhist almighties changed drastically. They had scriptures that recorded that the Brahma divine fire was one of the supreme flames of the Buddhist almighties, comparable to the Buddhist karmic fire. The whirling prayer beads were a sealing treasure, but they couldn't withstand the burning of the Brahma divine fire. Dong dong dong. With just one move, countless golden scriptures in the depths of the void were pierced, and large holes were burned. The entire array was easily torn apart and completely shattered. The whirling prayer beads were also severely damaged and seemed to be dispirited. Wu Wudi, you bastard! Many Buddhist almighties were furious. This was one of the supreme treasures of the Buddhist almighties, and now it was damaged to such an extent. This was a loss that no amount of treasures could make up for. Chapter 1914. A medium-grade saint artifact, the Brahma divine flame furnace? Isn't that the good fortune saint's treasure? How could you have it? A supreme elder immediately cried out, not daring to believe his eyes. He had a deep understanding of the good fortune saint and knew that he had all sorts of saint artifacts and magic treasures. Among them, the Brahma divine flame furnace was one of the most famous magic treasures. After all, the Brahma divine flame was a deviant flame of the universe. Even a saint coveted it, and it was extremely difficult to obtain it. Countless Buddhist supreme elders wanted to snatch it away. This was because it would be of great benefit to their cultivation. Is there even a need to ask? This brat must have run into some dogshit luck and obtained the Brahma divine flame furnace somewhere. Some people were green with envy. They had worked hard for 3 months, but hadn't found many treasures. It was a complete waste of effort. But who would have thought that Wu Wudi's luck would be so good that he could even obtain the medium-grade saint artifact, the Brahma divine flame furnace? He could understand why the gap between people was so great. Haha, a bunch of poor ghosts. Don't compare me to you. Although saint artifacts are precious, I have plenty on me. I can casually take out dozens of them. Xiaoping stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking very proud. Keep bragging. In any case, there's no tax on bragging. The group of supreme elders disdainfully said, but in their hearts they were skeptical, because according to how heaven-defying this brat was, he might really have many saint artifacts on him. Thinking of this, they became even more fanatical. As long as they could kill this brat, they would definitely be able to obtain many secret treasures. I'm not playing with you anymore. Xiaoping's figure flashed, and he quickly fled outside. In any case, He had already obtained the pills. There was no need to fight this group head-on. Don't even think of running. Glory's scepter, Angel Kingdom. It was at this moment that the angel race took action. A great angel elder took out a white scepter. Medium-grade saint artifact, Glory Scepter. The white scepter gently waved, and endless white light gushed out. It was incomparably holy, turning the surrounding hundreds of millions of kilometers into a white kingdom. Beams of holy light fell down from the sky. In God's kingdom, no one can move. The group of angels sang praises as pure angelic power poured into the scepter. The entire angel kingdom condensed into a corporeal form, turning into an absolute domain. What? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could feel that the space around him had been completely sealed. His body felt as though it had sunk into a swamp, and he could not move at all. It was as though the power of the surrounding void was exerting itself on his body. Useless demon. Under the scepter of glory, any power is useless. Just surrender. I will take you back to the angel kingdom and purify you day and night. The archangel grand elder sneered. He waved his hand again, and the entire angel kingdom trembled. Beams of white light transformed into chains of order. Dong! In an instant, tens of thousands of white chains of order appeared on Xiaoping's body. Each chain contained a terrifying sealing power, as if they were trying to suppress him completely. The angels were excited to the extreme. Now, they could finally suppress and seal this kid. They believed that under the glory scepter, no enemy could do anything. Ha! Wu Woody, it's finally your turn to be unlucky. Kill him while he's down. Kill this kid. Don't give him any chance. Kill him without mercy. Eliminate him. The Holy Land of Taichu, the Palace of Darkness, the Buddhist sects, the primordial descendants, and other forces did not show any mercy when they saw this. They all rushed over and bombarded him with the power of martial arts. It seemed to form a torrent of energy that could destroy everything. Reincarnation brush. One stroke to determine life and death. One stroke to turn into reincarnation. Xiaoping was expressionless. He did not move at all, but the reincarnation brush immediately flew out of his body and grew with the wind, turning into a giant brush that was tens of thousands of meters tall. The brush trembled, and the tip of the brush contained an unparalleled sharpness. It gently drew at the angel kingdom, and a terrifying black sharpness burst out. Dong! With just one blow, the entire white kingdom was torn in half. Even all the chains of order on Xiaoping's body were cut and completely shattered into pieces. The angels had not expected such a turn of events. Because the angel kingdom had been torn apart, a massive backlash had invaded their bodies, causing their internal organs to be injured. They could not help but cough up blood. Impossible. What kind of magic treasure is this? How can it tear apart the power of the scepter of glory? The group of angels almost went crazy. They worshipped their own power fanatically, and the scepter of glory was a supreme magic treasure bestowed by an archangel. It should be invincible. They had also used the scepter of glory to spread the glory of the Lord and the glory of the Lord everywhere. But today, they had indeed failed and were completely defeated. What a powerful sharpness. It's countless times sharper than the white bone sword in my hand. Is this a high-grade divine artifact or a supreme-grade divine artifact? Xiang Yuandong of the Palace of Darkness also felt his hair stand on end. He felt great pressure and threat. It seemed that if this giant brush were to aim at him, he would be instantly dismembered. It was like a supreme magic treasure that controlled the life and death of living beings. It was unfathomable and unimaginable. A group of birdmen dares to sneak attack me? I gave you face, but you don't want it. If that's the case, then die. Xiaoping held the reincarnation brush like a god of the underworld walking out of the depths of hell. He gently drew the brush, as if dividing the yin and yang and separating the 6 paths of reincarnation. Dong! The elder holding the scepter of glory didn't know what was going on. A black sharpness shot towards him, and his entire body was cut into countless pieces. Xiaoping made a grabbing motion, and the scepter of glory fell into his hand. Although the Scepter of Glory was still struggling, it was suppressed by Xia Ping's supreme magic power and the power of the reincarnation brush. Great Elder, damn it, put down the Scepter of Glory. That's the weapon of the angel race. How can we allow a heretic like you to blaspheme it? Kill, kill, kill. Kill this heretic. Take back the Scepter of Glory. The angels went crazy when they saw the Scepter of Glory in Xia Ping's hands. This was one of the supreme magic treasures of the angel race. They absolutely couldn't let it fall into the hands of others. They didn't fear death and pounced forward. Die. The reincarnation brush in Xia Ping's hand gently drew the brush again. A black light split the heaven and earth and swept across. Dong, dong, dong. Before the angels could even get close to Xia Ping, their entire bodies were cut in half. Moreover, not only their bodies were cut in half, even their souls were cut in half. Chapter 19:15. Damned bald donkeys. You want to take advantage of me too? Xia Ping turned around and immediately sensed a group of Buddhist supreme elders controlling the whirling prayer beads to attack him. Buddhist scriptures blotted out the sky, forming a kingdom of Buddha. These Buddhist scriptures and runes contained supreme Buddhist power as well as tyrannical Buddhist power. It was as if the void was collapsing and all demonic power was purified. Clearly, this group of Buddhist supreme elders wanted to attack him from behind. They had endless killing intent. He held the reincarnation brush in his hand and gently swiped it. Boom! With just a single strike, countless golden scriptures instantly dispersed and were sliced into 8 to 10 pieces. The great figures of the Buddhist League were caught off guard, and their bodies were sliced into 2. Even the Buddhist supreme elders who had cultivated the golden Arhat body couldn't resist it. Their flesh and blood couldn't withstand the sharp power of the reincarnation brush. It was as if there was nothing in the world that could resist the sharpness of the reincarnation brush. Impossible. Even the golden Arhat body of Buddhism can't block the sharpness of this brush. Just what is its origin? Could it be another peerless treasure left behind by the saint of good fortune? Someone couldn't help but cry out in shock. The golden Arhat body of Buddhism was known as the Vajra body of Buddhism. Ordinary magic treasures couldn't leave the slightest mark on the body of the golden Arhat body. This kind of body tempering technique was famous throughout the universe. But now, this brush had destroyed the golden Arhat body with just a gentle stroke. It was simply unimaginable. This was definitely not a tyrannical magic treasure that an ordinary saint artifact could compare with. I'm not sure. I've never seen such a magic treasure before. I can only feel an endless sharp power from it. It's as if it can cut through space, time, and karma. A Thunder Tribulation Realm Supreme Elder had a solemn expression. Are you kidding me? Is it that exaggerated? Even a peerless saint artifact can't do this. You must have been fooled by Wu Wudi. Many people didn't believe such words. Of course, what I said is a bit exaggerated, but I have to admit that this brush is terrifying. It's definitely not something an ordinary magic treasure can compare with. I'd even believe it if someone said it was a peerless saint artifact. That person said in a deep voice, "Damn it, just how many treasures does he have on him? He can even bring out such a powerful magic treasure." The group of people gritted their teeth, feeling very indignant. They felt very helpless. Wu Wudi was too unfathomable. He had countless trump cards, and they did not know when he would appear again. They could not kill him no matter what. Previously, that kid didn't take out this Dharma treasure. Did he think that we didn't pose enough of a threat to him? Xiang Yuandong of the Palace of Darkness had an extremely ugly expression on his face. He felt that he and his men had been thoroughly underestimated. But when they thought about it, they couldn't even force the other party to reveal his true trump card. It was no wonder that the other party would look down on them. Instantly, he felt even more indignant. Whoosh! In the next second, Xia Ping made a grabbing motion with his hand, producing a huge suction force. The whirling prayer beads instantly fell into his hand. "Stop it, you be starred. That's the sacred weapon of our Buddhist sect, the whirling prayer beads. How dare you snatch it from me? Hurry up and hand it over." When some of the powerful beings of the Buddhist sect caught sight of this, their eyes widened in shock. This was one of the supreme, sacred weapons of their Buddhist sect. It contained terrifying power. Losing one of them was an unbearable loss, and it would cause the Buddhist sect to lose its foundation. Seeing Wu Wuti snatch the whirling prayer beads away, how could they sit still? The whirling prayer beads are the supreme treasures of our Buddhist sect. It was given to us by the Buddhist sage, and it contains the energy of the sage. Even if you snatch it away, you won't be able to refine it. If you return it now, there's still room for redemption. Otherwise, you will definitely be hunted down by the entire Buddhist sect. No matter where you hide, you won't be able to escape. That's right. This is not a treasure that you can snatch away. Hurry up and return the whirling prayer beads. Do you know how great of a crime you have committed? Even if you are imprisoned in the 10,000 demon pagoda for billions of years, it will still be difficult to make up for it. Demon, repent before it's too late. Understand? Many of the powerful beings of the Buddhist sect were anxious. They hurriedly stepped forward to stop Xia Ping from taking the whirling prayer beads away. What does it have to do with me? It's mine if I snatch it. If you have the ability, then snatch it back. Xia Ping said disdainfully. How could he spit out the meat that was already in his mouth? As for the saint's energy within, ordinary people would not be able to refine it. The problem was he an ordinary person? With the system in hand, he could expel the sage's energy at any time and take this treasure for himself. However, he had already snatched away 2 sacred artifacts and the pill of good fortune. He could be considered to have made a fortune. There was no need for him to continue staying here. He should just run. Boom! Thinking of this, Xia Ping held the reincarnation brush in his hand and gently pointed at the void in front of him. With a dong sound, a wormhole was immediately opened, connecting to the depths of the void. Whoosh! In the next second, his body was covered in the spatial energy of the black hole worm, and he immediately disappeared. Trying to escape? Chase! Chase after them immediately. One of the long-browed Buddhist almighties panicked. How could he let Wu Wuti escape with the whirling prayer beads? They were Buddhist almighties, after all. Losing even one of them would be a serious crime. Not only did he not obtain the good fortune pill, but he also lost the whirling prayer beads. Even if he were to ponder over it for tens of thousands of years, he would not be able to make up for this loss. Don't chase him. But before he could get up, he was immediately pulled back by the Buddhist powerhouse beside him. Why not? Are we just going to watch him escape? Must we bring the whirling prayer beads back? The long-browed Buddhist powerhouse was furious and glared at his companion, who stopped him. Can't you see that it's a wormhole? There must be a trap inside. If we chase after him, the kid will suddenly collapse the wormhole passage. We will immediately fall into the endless spatial turbulence and be torn to pieces by the spatial storm. That person said seriously and explained the reason why they could not chase after him. What? That kid ran away, and he can still set up a trap? The long-browed Buddhist powerhouse's eyes widened, and his expression was extremely ugly. Then his hair stood on end, and his body could not help but shiver. A chill rose from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. He immediately thought of Wu Wuti's ruthlessness and cunning. He had taken every possibility into account, and there were traps everywhere. If he really foolishly chased after him, he would definitely fall into the other party's trap and be thrown into the endless spatial turbulence. Probably even a sage would not be able to save him. Besides, this bastard is extremely treacherous. We must not underestimate him. Those who dare to underestimate him are all dead. This is a lesson to be learned. Our Buddhist almighties have already suffered heavy losses this time. We can't afford to lose anymore. Moreover, let him take the whirling prayer beads away. Anyway, there is a sage's divine consciousness left on them. If he dares to refine them, he will definitely be in trouble. Many Buddhist monks were helpless. Although they were not willing to let the Buddhist almighties be taken away, there was nothing they could do. That's the only way. The long-browed monk was helpless. The people from the Palace of Darkness and the Holy Land of Taichu also clenched their fists. They were a little glad that they had not been impulsive. Otherwise, their almighties would have been taken away by that kid. Chapter 1916. Half a day later, Xia Ping came to another place on this mysterious continent and hid in a mountain peak. He entered the space of the mountain river Pearl and planned to take stock of his gains this time. This is the saint-level medicinal pill, the nature pill. First, he took out the golden ball of light. There were 3 fist-sized medicinal pills in it. They were completely golden like golden pills. They exuded a sacred aura and were unfathomable. His divine sense penetrated into one of the golden pills. In an instant, he was surprised to find that the structure of this medicinal pill had undergone earth-shattering changes. It had actually turned into tiny crystals. Countless crystals combined together to form a medicinal pill. The crystals were densely stacked together like a beehive, full of the beauty of the crystal structure. As Xiaoping continued to go deeper, he was surprised to find that these crystals were actually wriggling, just like living microorganisms that were moving on their own. How is this possible? Could it be that this medicinal pill is alive? Xiaoping's pupils shrank. He couldn't believe what his divine sense had probed. He sensed that this medicinal pill was full of vitality, exuding the aura of life, and had a unique rhythm of life. But medicinal pills were just inanimate objects that were fused together according to different proportions of countless precious spiritual medicines. How could it become a complete life? In an instant, it seemed to sense that Xia Ping's divine sense was spying on it, causing the nature pill to produce a sense of threat. Countless crystals trembled, and tiny consciousnesses gathered together, forming a huge divine sense storm that blasted towards Xiaoping. Boom! Xiaoping's sea of consciousness was violently shaken, as if someone had hit it with a hammer. Of course, this divine sense storm was naturally nothing to Xiaoping, who had a tyrannical soul. It was like a gentle breeze. But for ordinary law manifestation realm experts, it was probably not the case. If they were not prepared, they would probably be seriously injured on the spot, and their soul would be damaged. Green Ox, come and see what's going on with this nature pill. Xiaoping wanted to ask the Green Ox, who was an alchemy grandmaster. He thought that it must know the mystery behind it. Master, your guess is right. Saint-level medicinal pills are actually existences that surpass ordinary medicinal pills. Only sages can refine them, said the Green Ox in a deep voice. It has already developed spirituality and has the characteristics of life. Moreover, this was only an ordinary saint-grade pill. If it was a higher-level saint-grade pill, it would transform into a unique life form, possessing its own weak intelligence and the power of laws. If it's the legendary divine grade pill, then it's even more unbelievable. It will completely transform into an existence of life, containing the power of the great Tao. This is also the supreme realm that Old Master pursued his entire life. Is there such a thing? Xiaoping's eyes widened, as if he was listening to a fairy tale. Master, don't doubt it. That's because the sage realm is a completely different realm. Reaching this realm isn't as simple as condensing magic power. Instead, one has to comprehend the various laws of the universe. The Green Ox said in a deep voice, if you can grasp enough power of laws, then even creating life out of thin air might not be a fantasy. Of course, even Old Master can't reach that level. It's unimaginable. It revealed some information about the saints. I see. Xiaoping nodded. He now had a little understanding of why the good fortune pill could increase the probability of ordinary cultivators reaching the sage realm by 30%. Perhaps it was because it contained the energy to seize the good fortune of heaven and earth. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. Host, these 3 pills contain an ominous aura. You must not take them, otherwise you will suffer a calamity in the future. What do you mean? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. The system would never speak except when he asked, but now it actually took the initiative to warn him that there was something fishy about these pills. He immediately raised his vigilance to the highest. If you want to know the specific information, you need 10 hatred crystals. The system said. The corner of Xiaoping's mouth twitched. He knew that the system's words weren't good. It would definitely require money, and just the information alone was worth 10 hatred crystals. One could imagine how valuable this information was. He thought about it, and felt that he still needed to understand what was going on. He couldn't be tricked by others. He knew very well when to be generous and when to be stingy. Thus, he chose to pay 10 hatred crystals. Okay, the 10 hatred crystals have been deducted. The system said these pills contain the unique mark of the saint of good fortune, the mark of good fortune. If the host takes them, he will definitely become the target of the saint of good fortune. What does that mean? Could it be that the saint of good fortune hasn't died? Xiaoping's thoughts stirred. He frowned and carefully asked, "Perhaps he's dead, perhaps he's not dead. He is currently hovering between life and death and can resurrect at any moment." The system said, "What does that mean?" Xiaoping felt a bit confused. The system said, "Your current boundary isn't high enough, so it's normal that you don't understand the concept. All you need to know is that this is a plot of the saint of good fortune. It is a plan that he has arranged to resurrect himself. It is likely that his death is a part of the saint of good fortune's plan." Death is a part of the plan? Xiaoping's eyes widened. Just what sort of concept was this? What sort of existence was this? To be able to resurrect after death and even be a part of the plan? Just what sort of supernatural power was this? Do you know what good fortune is? The so-called good fortune is a lucky chance, a source of good fortune. The system said, but every person's good fortune is limited. And the saint of good fortune's road of cultivation is to seize the good fortune of the world, seize the countless lucky chances and sources of good fortune of the world, and then use them on his own body to create himself. The so-called seize is to plunder, to plunder, to plunder, to plunder, to rob others of their good fortune and lucky chances. To be cruel and ruthless, to forget all emotions. This is the saint of good fortune's way of doing things. You said that these pills I obtained have the mark of the saint of good fortune. Could there be a problem with these marks? Xiaoping frowned, his heart sinking. That's right, you guessed correctly. The problem is the saint of good fortune's mark. It can be considered nearly immortal and indestructible. The system said, if you take these pills, then the more pills you take from the good fortune diagram of the myriad heavens, the more marks you will have on your body. Of course, once you obtain the saint of good fortune's mark, you will also obtain the saint of good fortune's countless cultivation experiences. You will also find that your cultivation speed will become faster and faster, advancing 1,000 miles in a single day without any bottlenecks. Chapter 1917. Hearing these words, Xiaoping felt a chill crawl down his spine. Without a doubt, this was the true world-shaking plan of the saint of good fortune. It had spanned countless years and covered countless races in the universe. He used his own death as a catalyst and the creation map of the heavens as a support to protect him. He used the creation elixir and dharma treasures to attract the geniuses of countless races. One could well imagine how those geniuses from the various races could endure such a scene. Once they consumed the pill of fortune, they would immediately have the chance to become a saint. Who could resist such a thing? After all, it was extremely difficult to advance to the saint realm. It was comparable to the ancients ascending to the heavens. Now that there was a 30% increase in the probability, who wouldn't go crazy over it? In truth, the good fortune pill was only a primer. What was important was the mark of the saint of good fortune within the good fortune pill. With this mark and the experience of the saint of good fortune as a support, Lin Ming had no choice. Those geniuses who stood at the pinnacle of their races and were brimming with talent would naturally be able to ascend to the level of sages. It was like pouring oil onto a fire, achieving twice the results with half the effort. But these geniuses hadn't discovered this situation yet. They still believed that their talent was unrivaled and they could casually make breakthroughs because of their own efforts. Because of this, they had fallen into the saint of good fortune's trap. Why would the saint of good fortune do this? He is already an invincible saint, standing at the pinnacle of the universe. Xiaoping asked, "It's very simple. He wants to become a deity. He wants to be immortal. He wants to advance to the divine realm." The system said, "The divine realm?" Xiaoping's body trembled. This was practically a legend in the universe. It was believed that there was a realm above the saints, and that was the gods. However, this was ultimately just a legend. From ancient times until now, there had been countless saints, but none had been able to become a god. But the Saint of Good Fortune was different. He was already an invincible saint and had touched the bottleneck to the divine realm. In order to realize his ambitions, he willingly died in the battle against the abyss demons in the primordial era, setting up this scheme that spanned across the ages. The Sage Realm is the realm of comprehending the laws of the universe. The system said, although the Saint of Good Fortune has already risen to the boundary of an invincible saint, his comprehension of the laws of the universe is still imperfect. He is always lacking a single level, hindering his breakthrough. He believed that a single person's energy was limited. If he wanted to comprehend the perfect laws of the universe, he needed to gather everyone's wisdom. That was why he died and turned into countless imprints. Then, these imprints would attach themselves to the various geniuses, fusing into their souls. Using their experiences, souls, and mystic arts as food, they would strengthen and perfect their own laws of the universe. I see. Xiaoping immediately understood the Saint of Good Fortune's plan. This was the same as having countless avatars to cultivate with. If he wanted to comprehend the perfect laws of the universe, he would need to have countless avatars. One day, these avatars would completely fuse together, and the Saint of Good Fortune's mark would completely return. At that time, the Saint of Good Fortune would be resurrected in this universe once more. At that time, it was unknown just what boundary the Saint of Good Fortune would reach. Perhaps he would really be able to ascend to the divine realm. He also remembered the dragon race scientist Titania from before. Her path of cultivation was different from the Saint of Good Fortune's. She seemed to have used scientific methods to observe the universe, gaining insight into the finest details and studying the laws of physics, biology, space, and time. Once Titania was done with her research and no longer had any doubts, that would be the moment she became a god. One was the methods of a mortal. This mortal believed that their talent was lacking. Thus the Saint of Good Fortune had gathered the strength of countless geniuses and spent countless years in order to truly grasp the Tao. One was the means of a genius. His talent surpassed everyone else, reaching a realm that no one had ever reached before. That was why he could casually waste his talent and time, surpassing everyone with his body alone. But no matter what method he used, all of them reached the same goal, to become a divinity. But without a doubt, the Saint of Good Fortune's methods were incomparably ruthless. He had used the corpses of countless proud children of heaven from countless races as stepping stones in order to become a divinity, to become his nourishment. He was the true exalted indifference. In order to become a divinity, even if countless proud children of heaven died, he wouldn't hesitate. But if he did this, would no one discover it? Xiaoping asked. How could they discover it? The Saint of Good Fortune was an existence that stood at the peak of the universe. If he didn't want to be discovered, then it would be extremely difficult for others to do so. The system said, of course, the universe is vast, and there are countless people with abilities. Perhaps some people have discovered something fishy, but without evidence they wouldn't dare to say anything. Or perhaps they are afraid of offending the Saint of Good Fortune, and in order to avoid suffering a calamity, they wouldn't dare to casually touch upon this eternal situation. Or perhaps the Saint of Good Fortune has already made a deal with those existences on the same level to not speak of it. In short, even after such a long time, no one has been able to unravel this trap. From this, one can imagine just how deep the waters are. Xiaoping nodded. He also acknowledged this point. The Saint of Good Fortune's methods had never been seen since time immemorial. He was an invincible saint that stood at the peak of the universe, and there were only a few existences that were on the same level as him. Who could discover him? Moreover, time was also a great factor. Perhaps when the Saint of Good Fortune died, some saints might have developed suspicions. How could such a tyrannical and invincible saint perish? Could there be some sort of sinister plot behind this? But time was enough to wash away everything, and this was also true for saints. 100 million years passed, and the Saint of Good Fortune still hadn't resurrected. 1 billion years passed, 10 billion years passed, 1 trillion years passed, 100 trillion years passed, but the saint of good fortune still hadn't appeared or resurrected. Such a span of time was enough to drown out the memories of any saint, leaving behind nothing but an eternal legend. After not appearing for such a long time, all the saints believed that the saint of good fortune had truly died, thoroughly dead. The newly ascended saints likely believed that the saint of good fortune was only a character that had appeared in history. Who would have thought that he hadn't died and was only hiding in the shadows? Could it be that these pills cannot be refined? Xiaoping asked. They can be refined, but this will alarm the saint of good fortune and cause him to immediately resurrect. From there, he will come looking for trouble with Host. Does Host wish to do this? The system said. Then let's forget about it. Xiaoping's lips twitched. He waved his hand in refusal. If such an old monster were to resurrect and find out that he had ruined the plans of the saint of good fortune, it was unknown just how terrifying his rage would be. Moreover, there was no benefit in doing so. So why would he do something so stupid? Although he acted recklessly, he still had a sense of propriety. If there were no benefits, and he didn't have full assurance of success, then he would be stupid. That's right. Is it possible that the Brahma divine fire furnace knows about this? Is it a spy of the saint of good fortune? Xiaoping was wary of this. He knew that the heavens fortune diagram and the great desolation ancient furnace must have known that the saint of good fortune hadn't died and had been carrying out his plans. And the magic tools of the saint of good fortune all had similar suspicions. Don't worry, I've already thoroughly inspected them. The Brahma divine fire furnace does not know about this. It is only an ordinary magic tool of the saint of good fortune, not a core treasure. The system said, moreover, this matter is of great importance and cannot be revealed in the slightest. The fewer people that know, the better. Thus, it has been kept in the dark and believes that the saint of good fortune has already died. After all, only by deceiving your own people can you deceive others. That's good. Hearing this, Xiaoping immediately felt relieved. It seemed that he could safely use the Brahma divine fire furnace. Moreover, it had already been thoroughly refined by him. Chapter 1918. It seems that these pills are all hot potatoes. I can't refine them, nor can I take them. They're of little value. They're tasteless, but it's a pity to discard them. Xiaoping touched his chin, feeling a little regretful. He had worked so hard to obtain so many pills, but they were like flowers in a mirror and the moon in the water. It was all a waste of effort. No, that's not right. Although the pills are poisonous, it doesn't mean that I can't get benefits. I can't take them, but it doesn't mean that others can't. Maybe I can auction these pills. Thinking of this, his eyes suddenly lit up. After all, he was the only one who knew that there was a problem with the pills in the Heaven's Fortune map. No one else knew about it. Moreover, the Fortune pill was also a saint-level pill that countless Thunder Retribution Realm powerhouses coveted. If he auctioned it, it would definitely cause countless powerhouses to fight over it. At that time, he could use these pills to exchange for a large number of cultivation resources. This could be regarded as recycling waste. Yes, let's do that. I'll hold an auction in the virtual universe later and auction all these pills. Xiaoping immediately made a decision. But before that, he also took out the swirling prayer beads and glory scepter he had just obtained. These two treasures were obtained from the group of enemies, and they could be regarded as great gains. After all, sage artifacts were incredible treasures that ordinary people couldn't obtain at all. If they were auctioned, who knew how much they would fetch? It would probably scare people to death. Of course, he wouldn't auction these two sage artifacts. System, can you help me refine these two sage artifacts completely? Xiaoping asked. 50 hatred crystals. The system gave a price. Refine them. Xiaoping waved his hand. He was now very rich. Rumble, as soon as he said that, a tyrannical and mysterious energy instantly invaded the depths of the swirling prayer beads and glory scepter. Immediately, the two sage artifacts struggled constantly, and two sage auras and sage wills were transmitted. The entire void was trembling, and there seemed to be angry and unwilling roars. Obviously, the sage wills deep inside the two sage artifacts were strongly resisting being refined. However, under the power of the system, These two sage intents were as weak as infants. In an instant, the two sage intents were completely destroyed, as if they were dry weeds and rotten wood. Even the various means left behind by the sages were completely removed, as if they had been purified. In the depths of the void, a Buddhist sect's saint and an angel race's saint let out mournful cries. Due to the loss of their spiritual wills, they suffered great injuries. Who is it that destroyed the divine since I left on the glory scepter, whirling prayer beads? Who had the guts to do so? Two terrifying divine senses permeated the void, containing boundless anger. But no matter how angry they were, they couldn't track Xiaoping's location. Investigate. Investigate immediately. Find out who took the whirling prayer beads, scepter of glory. The two saints announced the news at the same time. They knew that this matter must have happened inside the myriad heavens fortune map, because they had borrowed the two saint artifacts to allow their clansmen to run amok in the myriad heavens fortune map. The loss of the sacred tool made them realize that something big must have happened. There is indeed a saint's divine sense left in the saint artifact. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He sensed that the two saints' auras were extremely powerful. If he hadn't used the system's power to refine the two saint artifacts, he would have been killed. But under the system's power, the divine sense of these saints was as fragile as a baby and couldn't do anything to him. At this time, he also sensed that his divine sense had fused with the whirling prayer beads and the glory scepter. He and the artifacts were one, and there was no distinction between them. He had complete control over them. As long as he didn't die, no one could take the two saint artifacts away. This is the Buddhist treasure, the whirling prayer beads. It's really incredible. Xiaoping sensed the mysteries within the whirling prayer beads. He immediately discovered that there was a vast and boundless world inside the beads. It was the kingdom of Buddha. In this kingdom of Buddha, there were auras of suppression, refinement, purification, and so on. If this whirling world was summoned, it could immediately suppress countless demons and ghosts. It possessed a powerful sealing power. I see. This is a sealing treasure. Xiaoping immediately understood. This whirling prayer beads was a sealing treasure refined by the sages of the Buddhist sections. It could suppress countless powerful enemies, and even sages could be suppressed within it. The reason why the mighty Buddhist sects took out the whirling prayer beads was because they wanted to suppress themselves within the whirling world of the beads. Moreover, the stronger the enemy suppressed, the stronger the power of the whirling prayer beads. This was because the whirling prayer beads could extract the origin energy of these sealed enemies. The prisoners who were locked up were like slaves, contributing their strength all the time. At this moment, he also sensed that there seemed to be countless vicious criminals imprisoned in the depths of the whirling prayer beads. There were bandits and robbers from all over the universe. There were also demons and demons from the abyss world. There were even vengeful spirits, specters, and evil spirits. These criminals were providing the whirling prayer beads with a huge amount of energy. Interesting. If I suppress billions of demons in this bead, wouldn't I be able to unleash infinite power? I can even lock up any criminals I catch in the future. Xiaoping felt that he seemed to have found a good prison. Sometimes it was not necessary to kill an enemy. He could imprison them and make use of trash. The whirling prayer beads even had the ability to evolve. If he could imprison a sage-level existence, it was likely that it could evolve into a mid-grade sacred artifact, high-grade sacred artifact, or even a peerless sacred artifact. It was no wonder that the group of mighty Buddhist sects were flustered and exasperated when they saw that he had lost the whirling prayer beads. They also knew that they had lost an important treasure. The Scepter of Glory. This is also a good sacred artifact. Xiaoping looked at the Scepter of Glory in his hand. This was a mid-grade sacred artifact obtained from the angel race. There was no doubt that it was also a powerful magic treasure. First of all, it could activate the kingdom of heaven and trap the enemy in this world of glory. It was like activating his own domain, making it impossible for the enemy to escape from the kingdom of heaven. Of course, this was only a secondary ability. The most important thing was that this scepter had the ability to control people's minds. If the enemy was trapped in the kingdom of angels, they would be illuminated by the holy light day and night. Over time, the enemy would believe in the existence of the Lord and completely submit to him, unable to resist. If it was a life form with weak mental strength, they would be controlled in an instant, and their soul would be engraved with the mark of glory. Previously, the group of angels took out the scepter of glory in order to control him and make him an angel slave. Fortunately, I killed those angels. Otherwise, wouldn't I be in trouble? Chapter 1919. After carefully studying the glory scepter and the whirling prayer beads, Xiaoping was also thoroughly familiar with these two sacred tools. Then he put them away. Anyway, the future is long. There will be plenty of time to carefully study them in the future. Corinne, if I want to hold an auction, what should I do? Xiaoping immediately went to Corinne's place, wanting to ask about this matter. It's very simple. Just enter the virtual universe's high-grade city. Now you're also qualified to enter it. Corinne replied, high-grade city? Xiaoping's heart moved. He also remembered the virtual universe's city classification: primary city, intermediate city, and high-grade city. Before, he had also gone to primary city and intermediate city, but he had never entered high-grade city. It is said that high-grade city is an even more unimaginable virtual world, completely different from intermediate city. Yes, go to high-grade city. Corinne nodded. High-grade city is completely different from intermediate city. Its reality is almost 99%. Apart from not dying, it is no different from the real world. The entire virtual universe has a total of 108 high-grade cities, each of which is vast and boundless, enough to accommodate the peak experts of countless races. Many of the universe's peak experts will carry out transactions in high-grade cities or exchange information, exchange each other's cultivation experience, and so on. This is a place where elites gather. Speaking up to here, he paused. Of course, the most important ability of high-grade cities is transactions. No matter where you are in the universe, as long as you buy something in high-grade city, it will be instantly teleported to your side. Of course, some universes' secret realms isolated from the virtual universe network won't work, but as long as it is connected to the virtual network, it will work. What? Xiaoping was taken aback and carefully asked. According to Corinne, entering a high-grade city would open the qualification to teleport things in the virtual universe. As long as you pay a fee, you can teleport treasures throughout the universe. If an auction is held in a high-grade city in the virtual universe, then the virtual universe system can act as an intermediary and immediately teleport the treasures on your body to some mysterious space. After the transaction is over, the treasure can be teleported to another person. This greatly ensures the safety of the transaction between both parties. Many treasures that cannot see the light of day and transactions that need to be kept secret will be carried out in high-grade cities. It can be said that high-grade cities are the universe's largest black markets. After all, in the virtual universe, one could hide one's identity and teleportation treasures would not leave any traces. No one would be able to track one down. The security was extremely high and there were almost no accidents. This had also become the preferred method of trade for countless almighties. It could be said that if there were any important magic treasures being traded, they would basically be carried out in high-class cities. All of a sudden, Xiaoping felt that the virtual universe was too powerful. To think that it could do something like this, traversing across the entire universe and casually teleporting objects. Perhaps the virtual universe was the strongest treasure of the human race. This was enough to suppress the fortune of the human race for countless years. It seems I'll need to hold an auction in a high-class city. However, before that, I'll need to snatch more medicinal pills. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. He planned on plundering even more nature creation pills and other important medicinal pills. A few days later, Xiaoping's footprints could be seen everywhere in this mysterious continent. He appeared everywhere and continuously robbed people, causing everyone to be alarmed and resentful. Countless supreme beings gnashed their teeth in hatred towards Xiaoping. That damned Wu Wudi has appeared again. He's robbing people everywhere. Countless people have fallen into his hands. He's not just ruthless. He's plucking feathers from every goose that passes by. Even a Tautai isn't as despicable as him. F***ck. That bastard seems to have never seen a treasure in his life. He even stole my underwear. Now I can only wear leaves. He's too despicable. This kind of person is practically the public enemy. He's the villain of the universe. Is no one going to control this bastard? We can't let him continue doing whatever he wants. Everyone was filled with hatred and cursed at Wuwudi. They wanted nothing more than to skin him alive. How can no one do anything? The Buddhist sects, the Archaic Alliance, the Angel Clan, the Holy Land of Taichu, the Palace of Darkness, and other forces have all joined forces to capture this kid, but they can't do anything. He seems to be proficient in spatial magic. He's practically untraceable. It's like guerrilla warfare. They can't catch him at all. Someone said angrily, "Don't mention those forces. They can't even protect themselves. How can they protect us?" Isn't that right? I heard that the Buddhist sects and the Angel Clan had it the worst. Their sacred artifacts, the whirling rosary beads and the scepter of glory, were stolen by Wuwudi. They were so angry that they almost went crazy. They're looking for trouble with Wuwudi all over the world. It can't be. Even the sacred artifacts were stolen by this kid. That's a heavy loss. Think about it carefully. I didn't lose any treasures. Compared to losing the sacred artifacts, it's nothing. Everyone said helplessly. They felt helpless. Wait, the sacred artifacts are not so easy to obtain. It's said that the sacred artifacts of the Buddhist sects and the Angel Clan all have the will of a saint left in them. Even if they get it, they can't refine it. It's just a brick. Someone raised their doubts. You're behind the times. The saints of the Buddhist sects and the Angel Clan sent news that the two sacred artifacts have been completely refined. The will of the saints in them has also been completely erased. What a joke. That kid can even erase the will of a saint. How'd he do it? In short, he's a strange guy. We can't provoke him. I'm not afraid. Anyway, they've all been stolen. I've long become a pauper. If you have the guts, come and rob me again. Let's see what else you can take from me. Everyone sighed. No matter how they thought about it, it was actually the best way to avoid that kid. It was impossible to resist him head-on, and if they were to resist stubbornly, they might instead be beaten up and lose all face. In the past, countless mighty beings had suffered such miserable treatment. They had been stripped naked by this brat and hung on trees. He had even carved the words "loser" on their bodies. Such scenes were even uploaded to the internet, and they became the laughingstock of countless people. One had to know that they were all old monsters who had lived for at least 10,000 years. Who knew how many disciples and descendants they had? Now that there was such a scandal, how could they show themselves again? No matter how thick-skinned they were, they couldn't hide it. They were so ashamed that they wanted to die. Wait, that Wuwudi caused big news again. All of a sudden, someone shouted loudly. Big news? Did he rob another faction? Someone asked. No, that kid entered a high-rank city and plans to hold an auction to sell the pills of fortune and other elixirs he obtained. This news is already spread throughout the high-rank city. A group of people shouted. What? Chapter 1920. What a joke. After hearing this news, someone cursed loudly. You stole our treasures, yet you still dare to openly auction them in public. Do you really think we're pushovers that you can pinch as you please? None of us should participate in this auction. Let's make all his treasures go unsold and not let him earn a single cent. We have to unite and fight this demon. He suggested not to participate in the auction. This person was furious. That bastard Wuwudi stole all their treasures and dared to auction them off in public. He even wanted them to participate in the auction. He was looking down on them. Of course we won't participate in the auction. You're right. Anyone who participates is a fool. I don't care if others participate, but I won't. Sorry, I suddenly remembered I have something to do. I'll take my leave. See you in the future. Everyone rolled their eyes, revealing expressions of righteous indignation. However, they quickly left, quickly logging into the universe virtual network and entering the high-level city to participate in the auction. They completely ignored that person's suggestion because they knew such resistance was useless. After all, the universe was simply too vast. Even though many powerhouses entered the heavenly fortune map, many didn't enter due to various reasons. They had no enmity with Wu Wuti, so how could they resist? They would definitely participate in the auction. Hence, it didn't matter whether they objected or not. Most importantly, there was a fortune pill up for auction. This was an important pill for becoming a sage. Honestly, which Thunder Calamity Realm powerhouse didn't want one? Previously, they were either unlucky or not strong enough to compete with others, so they didn't have the chance to get one. However, things were different now. Wu Wuti was actually willing to auction it off. This made them overjoyed. With money, one could buy a fortune pill. How could there be such a good thing in the world? With such an opportunity, even if they had to risk their lives and go bankrupt, they had to buy it. In an instant, countless Thunder Calamity Realm powerhouses heard the news. They all rushed madly into the high-level city in the virtual world. Virtual Universe High-Level City, 88th City. At that moment, Xiaoping had already entered an advanced city. Then, he applied for an auction with the virtual system and sent all the medicinal pills he had obtained from the creation map of heavens. He only sensed that, as his communicator connected to the virtual network, a surge of energy descended from the depths of the void and opened up a wormhole, following which the pills on his body were transported out, seemingly arriving in an unknown dimensional space. Moreover, he wasn't too worried that the pills he had painstakingly obtained would be swallowed up by the virtual universe. After all, he had conducted countless transactions in advanced cities. There were many more treasures that were more precious than what he had on him. Those treasures had not been devoured by the virtual universe, so naturally, his treasures would not have been devoured by it either. These treasures were just a drop in the ocean compared to the vast virtual universe. Whoosh! After doing all this, Xiaoping's silhouette flashed, and he was immediately sent by the virtual universe to 88 City's auction house, arriving at the main seat. Around them, there were densely packed seats. Because it was the virtual universe, the space could be infinitely large. Even accommodating the entire universe's population wouldn't be a problem. At that moment, the news that Xiaoping was holding an auction spread rapidly. Countless mighty figures in the universe heard about it and rushed to the auction house in 88 City. They only had one goal, and that was to obtain the creation pills. Virtual projections of these people also appeared in the auction house, their eyes fixed on Xiaoping. Xiaoping also recognized many of the forces among them. The human race's holy land of Taichu, Palace of Darkness, and other disciples, as well as the 10,000 Poison Sect, Black Heaven Sect, Five Elements Sect, Chinquan Sect, and other saint-level sections. Among the demon race, there were the elephant race, the dragon race, the sucking blood race, the whale race, the thunder demon race, and other powerful races. There were also the angel race, the Luohan race, the demon race, the Azure race, and so on from the Western universe. There were even many primordial remnants from the Archaic Alliance present. This was simply a gathering of elites and mighty figures. Even many members of small families also arrived at this auction house. Although they were not as powerful as these major forces, the auction depended on who had more money, so they might have a chance to compete. This kid is really strange. He actually auctioned the creation pills. Is he stupid? He's not stupid. I heard that he snatched a lot of creation pills from the Heaven's creation map this time. There are 9 of them. I see. No wonder he auctioned them. After all, ordinary people can only take 1 creation pill. It's useless to take more. In that case, he might as well auction the remaining creation pills and exchange them for other cultivation resources. How despicable. How did this kid get so many creation pills? What are the others doing? You don't know how cruel Wu Wuti is. He's tyrannical, robbing people everywhere, causing the people to complain. God knows how many people want to cause trouble for him, but they can't do anything. Actually, this is good. If it wasn't for the fact that he snatched so many creation pills, that kid wouldn't have auctioned them. This gives us a little chance to compete. Chance my ass. Do you know how many people are here now? All of them are rich and overbearing. How can we compete? Everyone was discussing. When they saw that there were so many people participating in the auction, their hearts turned cold. After all, there were too many rich people in the universe. No one could guarantee that they would be able to compete with others. At this time, Xiaoping stood up and said, "All right, everyone is basically here. However, before the auction begins, I have a condition. The human race cannot participate in the auction this time. They must leave immediately." What? Hearing this, countless people were in an uproar. They did not expect Xiaoping to make such a condition. What kind of joke is this? Why can't the human race participate in the auction this time? Discrimination. This is blatant discrimination. It's completely unreasonable. When the almighty human heard this, he was instantly enraged. He clearly had a chance to obtain the creation pills, but now he was chased out by this kid and said that he couldn't participate in the auction. That's right. Wu Wudi, explain to me why the human race can't participate in the auction? What did the human race do to you? The human race's money isn't money. What you're doing is too much. It's completely unreasonable. The group of almighty human beings was furious. They did not know how long they would have to wait if they missed this opportunity. This is my auction. I can make whatever rules I want. Chapter 1921. That's the fault of the Holy Land of Taichu and the Palace of Darkness. It has nothing to do with us. That's right. Just expel the people from the two holy lands. Why do you have to expel us too? Wu Wudi, you're also a human. It's fine if you don't give benefits to your own people, but you actually want to benefit other races. You're discriminating against humans. You're a F**king traitor. I won't accept this. I won't accept such a ridiculous thing. I'll take back my decision immediately. Many of the human Thunder Tribulation Realm powerhouses glared at Xiaoping angrily. They wanted nothing more than to eat this brat alive. They even wanted to tear the auction site apart. They had already prepared the money, but that bastard told them that humans couldn't participate in the auction. Wasn't he just messing with them? Haha, what's there to be unconvinced about? What a bunch of idiots. A monster king jumped out and laughed loudly. That's right. That's someone else's item. They can auction it however they want. They don't need your permission. You humans are used to being domineering. Do you think that everything can be done according to your rules? Stop joking. Hurry up and leave. It's really embarrassing to stay here. It seems that you're not fated to have the pill of fortune this time. What a pity. The powerhouses of the other races laughed and echoed, gloating. They all stood on Xiaoping's side and supported the expulsion of all human powerhouses from the auction. After all, everyone knew that the human race was one of the top races in the universe. They occupied the most vast territory and were so rich that they were far richer than the other races. If the humans were allowed to participate in the auction, most of the pills would probably be auctioned off by them. They wouldn't even have a share of the leftovers. Now that all the humans were expelled, it was simply a joyous thing. It was what everyone wanted. All of you scram. I'm not doing this for you to accept it. System, expel this group of human losers immediately. They're an eyesore. Xiaoping waved his hand. Boom! In the next second, all the humans at the auction site were expelled. Not a single one was left. Damn it. This is a disgrace, a great disgrace. I've never been so humiliated in my life. I was actually expelled from the auction. The supreme beings of the human race were infuriated, unable to contain their anger. I already said that Wu Wudi is a traitor. Although he's a human, he doesn't give humans any benefits. He's a traitor through and through. He should be abandoned by the entire race. Despicable Wu Wudi. How could he do such a thing? There are 9 fortune pills here. If the other races get them, they'll have 9 more saints. Does Wu Wudi know what he's doing? We have to find out who Wu Wudi is. He's actually allowing outsiders to benefit and increase their strength. People like that should be captured, hung on the pillar of shame to be cursed at day and night. Countless powerful beings of the human race were angered half to death. This was the first time they had been humiliated like this. Even if they had money, they couldn't buy anything. This feeling was just too sullen. The faces of the disciples of the Palace of Darkness and the Holy Land of Taichu were even uglier. They were filled with anger. That bastard Wu Wudi was clearly targeting them, resenting their previous actions and seeking revenge for the smallest grievance. Therefore, when the kid held the auction, he didn't say that the human race couldn't participate. He only said it when the auction was about to begin. That was a public humiliation. as disciples of the human race's holy land. When had they ever been humiliated like this? This was definitely a great humiliation. Wu Wuti, I will never forgive you. Find out who he is. We had to find out who he is and know everything about him. How dare he humiliate the disciples of the human race's holy land like this? This is a great humiliation. I can't stand that bastard for even a second. Many disciples of the human race's holy land gritted their teeth and clenched their fists. Their hatred for Wu Wuti had reached its peak. But there was nothing they could do now. After all, this was the virtual universe, and it was controlled by the virtual universe system. They couldn't do anything. Even a saint would be helpless here, let alone them. At the same time, in the auction, all right, the irrelevant people have left. The auction will now officially begin. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. The first auction item is this fortune pill and the other pills. This time, we won't accept universe dollars. We only accept bartering. The starting price is a million-year-old elixir. What? The starting price is a million-year-old elixir, and it's still the starting price? What kind of joke is this? Don't you know what a million-year-old elixir represents? That's a holy elixir, a holy elixir. Do you understand? One of the demon kings immediately shouted and cursed loudly. One had to know that elixirs that reached 10,000 years old could be called supreme grade elixirs. Those that reached 100,000 years were supreme grade elixirs, and those that reached 1 million years could be called holy elixirs. This was because most elixirs had a lifespan. Those that could live for 10,000 years were rare, and those that could live for 100,000 years could be counted on one hand. If one could live for more than 1 million years, then that would be a complete transformation, a complete transformation. It contained unimaginable medicinal strength and could be called a divine medicine. This was an existence that was as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. It was said that the elixirs that sages consumed were all holy elixirs, because other elixirs had no effect on them. It could be said that every holy elixir was priceless and rare. Once someone obtained it, they would immediately treat it as a family heirloom and definitely wouldn't take it out for auction. Many demon kings instantly despaired because they had a lot of universe dollars, but they didn't have any holy elixirs, not even a single one. After all, holy elixirs were rare, and where could they find them? Just the starting price alone was enough to reject them. So what if it's a holy elixir? Could it be that they can help you advance to the sage realm? Could it be that they can help you pass the lightning tribulation? No matter how many holy elixirs you have, if you can't become a sage, it's all for naught. How can it compare to the fortune pill? Moreover, there are so many elixirs as extras. It's obvious that you're getting lucky. What's there to be unhappy about? Xiaoping said in disdain. Extras my A***s. This was clearly a bundle sale. The group of demon kings was furious. They didn't want those elixirs at all. They just wanted the fortune pill. After all, they had seen and eaten plenty of other elixirs, so it wasn't a big deal. But hearing Xiaoping's words, they had to admit that the value of the fortune pill far exceeded that of a holy elixir. After all, no matter how powerful a holy elixir was, it couldn't help them break through to the sage realm. However, the fortune pill could increase their chances of breaking through by 30%. This was simply a divine elixir. All right, the auction will begin now. Poor bastards without holy elixirs shouldn't bid recklessly. This isn't an auction you can participate in. Know your place. Xiaoping shouted. Chapter 1922. I offer a purple lightning wonder flower. At that moment, a demon king immediately made a bid and took out a holy herb. However, its body was illusory, and no one could see its true appearance and identity. This was one of the benefits of holding an auction in an advanced city. No matter how much one bid, no one would know their true identity, and no one could rob or kill them. Therefore, countless people were at ease and did not have to worry about their safety. What? There's really someone who has a holy herb? Many demon kings were shocked. Purple lightning wonder flower? Oh my God! Is it a strange plant that only exists in the depths of the endless thunder purgatory, bathed in the essence of countless thunder, and only born after millions of years? A thunder demon king was shocked, and his eyes turned red. This holy herb is the supreme holy herb that our thunder demon race dreams of. It contains the origin energy of thunder. Consuming it can immediately cleanse one's bloodline and cause a transformation in one's bloodline. One even has a chance to master the power of thunder tribulation. It's priceless. He wanted to buy this holy herb, even if he had to go bankrupt. This was one of the most desired holy herbs for thunder demons. Once it appeared, it would cause a bloodbath. I'll offer a void grass and a 100,000-year-old spirit herb. The other demon king also spoke and directly increased the price. Void grass, someone exclaimed. Are you kidding? Isn't this a holy herb that only appears in legends? It said that it only lives in the depths of black holes and absorbs void energy. It's extremely rare and almost extinct. As long as one consumes this void grass, they will immediately have a chance to cultivate a space body, and their comprehension of spatial power will increase by more than 1,000 times. Even sages covet it. He's willing to take out such a holy herb. It seems that the creation pill is too attractive. Many demon kings sighed. They also understood why the other party was willing to take out the void grass. After all, no matter how precious and special the void grass was, it was not very helpful for advancing to the sage realm. If one could not advance to the sage realm, they would only be a cup of soil in the end. At most, they would die after tens of thousands of years. However, advancing to the sage realm would really mean endless longevity. What was a mere void grass to him? I also offer a holy herb, 5 elements vine, and 3 100,000-year-old spiritual herbs. Another demon king made a bid. Not to be outdone, it continued to raise the price. Saint Medicine 5 elements vine. This isn't just a simple saint medicine. It's a universe-level plant that contains the power of the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. A demon king was very familiar with the 5-element vine. If you refine it, you can immediately become your pet. If you nurture it properly, its body will be hundreds of millions of kilometers long. It will be extremely hard and can expand and contract freely. Furthermore, it will have an immortal body and can quickly revive. It can be said that controlling the 5-element vine is equivalent to obtaining a supreme magic treasure that allows one to move unhindered. No, the 5 elements vine is not that simple. The 5 types of vines on its body are all peerless spiritual herbs. They contain the power of the 5 elements. If you can refine and consume them, you will definitely be able to obtain great benefits. The other demon kings sighed with emotion. I offer a sacred herb, phoenix wood, and 5 100,000-year-old spiritual herbs. Another voice rang out. Sacred medicine. Phoenix wood? It can't be. He's even willing to take out such a rare treasure of the universe. This is a spiritual wood that has been contaminated by the blood of the divine phoenix. It's incomparably precious and unique. A demon king was stunned and went crazy with jealousy. It said that this phoenix wood contains the power of the phoenix and has an indestructible characteristic. Even if it's destroyed, it can be revived and reborn. If it's refined into a magic treasure, it can also contain the power of the phoenix and control the phoenix fire. If it's refined into a pill and consumed, there's a certain chance of condensing a phoenix body and mastering the undying divine ability. Of course, the probability is definitely very low. Even so, it will greatly increase the value of the phoenix wood. Countless living beings want it. It's an incredible treasure. Hearing the appearance of the saint medicine, many demon kings went crazy with jealousy. Originally, saintly medicines were incredibly rare, rarely seen in the world. What was going on right now? It was as if they were free, like bamboo shoots after the spring rain, popping up crazily. What made them most furious was that it had been obtained by that scammer, Wu Woody. After all, this group of demon kings crazily took out saint medicines in order to give them to Wu Woody, hoping to obtain the revival good fortune pill. Not bad, not bad. It looks like I have to thank the good fortune saint. Without him, how could there be so many idiots? Xiaoping was very satisfied and ecstatic. He took out saint medicines one after another. He felt that he was going to make a fortune. It was as if all the demon kings in the universe were giving him money. Sure enough, Using these poisonous pills to exchange for true saint medicines was a wise move. Otherwise, how could he have obtained these rare saint medicines? He hoped that the good fortune saint wouldn't resurrect so quickly. Otherwise, this group of demon kings would probably go crazy and hack him to death. The auction continued for an entire day. Xiaoping's 9 revival good fortune pills, as well as a large number of pills from the Heaven's Fortune map, were auctioned off and obtained by many demon kings. Every good fortune pill, as well as some supplementary pills, was basically sold for the price of sage medicine and 100,000-year spirit herbs. This kind of price made the hearts of countless monster kings tremble, and their hearts drip blood. They felt that their flesh had been cut off by this despicable and shameless Wu-Wudi. As for Xiaoping, he obtained 9 saint medicines and 90 100,000-year-old spirit medicines. It could be said that he had made a windfall. Even a large family could not produce such wealth. The value was frighteningly high. Bastard, all the good things have been eaten up by this kid. 9 saint medicines, this kid took them all in one go. Even robbing a bank doesn't make that much money. I'm a disciple of the Holy Land of Tai Chu, but I've never seen any saint medicine, let alone obtained one. A wanted criminal from the savage land is actually this rich? Is there any justice in this world? The many human supreme beings outside the auction also heard the news. They were all envious and jealous. In particular, the disciples from the Holy Land of Tai Chu and the Palace of Darkness were so jealous that their intestines turned green. They simply wanted to rush into the auction and snatch all the saint medicines back. Unfortunately, this was the virtual universe. No matter how powerful they were, there was nothing they could do. All right, the auction is over. Thank you for participating in the auction. Thank you for your generosity. I hope there will be a chance for us to cooperate again. Xiaoping announced the end of the auction. Cooperation, my ass. The group of demon kings gritted their teeth. They felt that they had to find a chance to kill this scourge Wu-Wudi sooner or later. Otherwise, who knew how many treasures they had would be plundered by this bastard. Chapter 1923. Beep beep. At this time, the system's voice sounded. Congratulations, host. You've angered a large number of human powerhouses, primordial species, and demon kings. You've earned a total of 80 hatred crystals this time. I hope you can keep up the good work. 80 hatred crystals? Xiaoping's eyes lit up when he heard this. He had done so much, and it was indeed effective. Previously, he had spent 60 hatred crystals in order to obtain information and refine the 2 divine artifacts. Now, he had earned it all back, and he even had 20 more hatred crystals. In other words, he had a total of 460 hatred crystals on him. What a bountiful harvest this time. Xiaoping was very satisfied. Rumble at this time, Xiaoping felt his body in the all-heavens fortune diagram tremble. Then, his entire body seemed to be wrapped up by a wave of energy, almost unable to resist. Time's up. All living beings in the all-heavens fortune diagram leave immediately. A voice spread out, shaking the void and reaching the depths of the consciousness of every powerhouse who entered the all-heavens fortune diagram. The voice was extremely vast and almost impossible to resist. This was the voice of the all-heavens fortune diagram's artifact spirit. It was like the great Tao, high above and emotionless. Everyone knew that it was time to leave the all-heavens fortune diagram. Dong! In the next second, everyone was teleported out no matter where they were. This was a random teleportation, but the teleportation locations were basically within the Eastern Universe. Those who entered the all-heavens fortune diagram were basically powerhouses, the kind that could survive in a vacuum and didn't have to worry about dying from a lack of oxygen. At this time, Xiaoping also left the all-heavens fortune diagram. He seemed to have been teleported to a primitive planet. There was no sign of human habitation or life within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. However, after leaving the all-heavens fortune diagram, he could return to the Chinquan sect at any time. At this moment, his primordial spirit was still in the auction house in the virtual universe's advanced city. In fact, although the powerhouse's physical bodies had left the all-heavens fortune diagram, their primordial spirits were still in the virtual universe's advanced city. They also sensed this change. However, They were already used to it. They knew what was going on and didn't show any expression. Time's up so quickly. I haven't stayed long enough. Xiaoping was a little regretful and a little reluctant. Although the pills in the All Heavens fortune diagram were a bit of a scam, there were still many treasures. And the pills could also scam others to obtain a large batch of spirit herbs. There were even many primordial species that could be captured and used as labors. A place like this was simply heaven. Treat your grandpa. The faces of the various supreme beings turned as black as charcoal when they heard this. You haven't stayed long enough. You've entered the myriad heavens creation diagram purely to act like a tyrant and obtain treasures. Not only did he obtain a large number of good fortune pills, even a medial grade saint artifact had been snatched away by this brat. Nothing could compare to the benefits he obtained. He had even captured many primordial descendants, becoming completely lawless. They felt that this was not a human, but a devil incarnate. No one could control him. Brother, can you give me a way to contact you so that we can contact each other in the future? To tell you the truth, I am very interested in you archaic descendants. Xiaoping walked up and saw an archaic descendant. He immediately shouted, "Want to get to know it?" Scram! That archaic descendant's complexion was extremely ugly, and its gaze was very unfriendly. Who would want to be acquainted with such a shameless demon like you? You even said you were very interested. F***CK, you must be very interested in capturing archaic descendants. If his contact information was known by this brat, he might be able to find his lair by following the clues. At that time, his entire family might be captured by this bastard and used as coolies. It was said that in the All Heavens fortune diagram, many archaic descendants had fallen into the hands of this demon. No one knew if they were dead or alive. After hearing this news, many archaic descendants were frightened out of their wits. Thinking of this, it felt its entire body go cold, as if it was being stared at by a demon. It felt that if it continued to stay here, it might be forcibly captured by this brat. Whoosh! Without saying another word, it immediately left the virtual universe. Brother Demon King, do you want to become sworn brothers with me? With a brother like me, I guarantee that you will benefit greatly in the future. Xiaoping only shrugged when he saw the archaic descendant run away in fear. He excitedly went to find the Demon King, who had just bought his good fortune pill. He felt that such a rich and overbearing Demon King definitely had a lot of money on him. Perhaps he could squeeze it dry. No need, I'm not worthy of you. The Demon King's mouth twitched. To be honest, who would dare to become sworn brothers with this devil incarnate? If they really did so, it would not only benefit them greatly, it would be purely looking for trouble and death. After all, everyone knew that Wu Wudi was the public enemy of the universe. He had offended the Archaic Alliance, the Palace of Darkness, the Holy Land of Taichu, the Luo Han, the Angel Clan, and so on. Every single one of these forces was frighteningly powerful, the kind that made one's scalp go numb. If he really foolishly became this brat's sworn brother, he would probably be killed the next day. His skin and tendons would be pulled out. This was simply becoming sworn brothers with the King of Hell, directly dragging him down to hell to accompany him. Thinking of this, he did not dare to stay any longer and immediately went offline. Brother, you guys, Xiaoping turned to look at the other demon kings, blinking his eyes innocently. No, we're not worthy of you either. Goodbye. Many of the demon kings were scared to the point of peeing their pants. As if they had encountered the plague, they all went offline, as if they were afraid of being entangled by Xiaoping. Now, whoever was on good terms with this brat would definitely be in big trouble. Sigh, being invincible is really lonely. Could it be that as an invincible expert, it's so lonely at the top that you don't even have a true friend? No wonder the strongest experts are all lonely. I have some understanding of this feeling. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, his face full of emotions. It was lonely to be an expert. The surrounding powerhouses' mouths twitched. They did not know why, but they just had the urge to hammer this bastard to death. If this wasn't the virtual universe, they would probably have made a move long ago. Wait, Benefactor Wu. At this moment, a Buddhist powerhouse walked over and put his palms together. I wonder if the whirling prayer beads you stole from us can be auctioned. As long as you are willing to return them with both hands, we are willing to pay a certain price to redeem them. He wanted the whirling prayer beads back. The other Buddhist monks followed closely behind. Pay a certain price? What price do you want to pay? Could it be that you can give me a peerless saint weapon? If that's the case, then I will return the whirling prayer beads to you. Xiaoping asked curiously. Hearing this, the Buddhist monks' mouths twitched. They were speechless. The whirling prayer beads were only low-grade saint weapons, but this brat's appetite was boundless. He even wanted them to give him a peerless saint weapon. Did he really think they were fools?